All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of LaGrange Planning Board meeting for January 28th, 2021. This virtual meeting is being held under the auspices of Executive Order 202.1, issued by Governor Andrew Cuomo of the state of New York, as a way to remain in compliance with the stay home, stay safe mandates while continuing to carry out town business. In keeping with this order, this meeting is being recorded, and the recording will be later posted on the town website. This meeting and public access procedures by computer and telephone have been announced on the town website and referenced on the town's electronic message board on Stringham Road. The public should be aware that public comments are only permitted during the public hearing portion of the meeting. And as there are no public hearings tonight, there will be no opportunity for public input. We ask that you please remain muted. So the first order of business for us is to deal with the minutes from December 17th. Is there any planning board members who have any comments or corrections that we need to make?
Not I.
No.
All right, can I have a motion on that?
Move to accept the minutes.
Dennis makes the motion. Mary seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, anyone opposed? All right, that passed. So again, there are no public hearings, so no public comments is permitted today. The first order of business is the Amendola Ventures site plan. This is a project that deals with a proposed site plan located on Route 55, containing 0.257 acres in the town center business zoning district. The grid number is 453982, if anybody wants to check on that. So we've had several meetings on this. The last time that I believe this has been in officially on our meeting is in July. So we've, at that time, we had public hearings and we had some concerns about traffic on Dr. Fink Road. So for the benefit of the planning board, I wanted to point out that the town board and the highway department worked together and they converted the stop sign that exits the rear of that plaza on Dr. Fink Road into a three-way lighted stop sign. And the intention there is to impact that the speeding and the problems of safety on that particular road. So that particular thing has already been dealt with. So before I get into any of my comments, what I'd like to do is ask Brian Stokoza, I think you're on, if you could kind of give us an update on what you've accomplished since the last time we saw you.
Hey guys, what's going on? Since the last time we were in front of you, we've been working with the health department, specific to the sewage disposal on the site. We've obtained a verbal approval on the site, subject to providing them final copies. Obviously, we'd have to address any final contingencies with your board, but we have received approval on the septic system. We'll also work with Wanda on the water supply side of the application. There's town water outside in the road. As we know, there was an existing building on site that has a 3/4 inch water tap to it. We'll be upsizing that slightly. And we'll work with Wanda to obtain that permit from her. Had a meeting with Mike Kelly on the site, agreed to the exit location on Dr. Fink. We reduced the width of the exit slightly to try to mitigate any through traffic that could possibly be through the site. I think as we previously discussed, this site is kind of on the northern side of the Route 55 corridor, so the the benefit to cut through this site is not as great as some of the sites for the Deconic. Other than that, just dotting the I's, crossing the T's, working through CPL's comment letter. We have a couple of infiltrators in the front of the property to handle roof runoff from the roof leaders. I show 2 rows of 3. We provided some calculations to support that design. And I think what we're going to do is 1 row of infiltrators will work to contain a 100-year storm without overtopping. So I think we're just going to go with 1 row. So that way the street trees that are within the parcel boundary can have some adequate root space to grow in front of the property, so they're not inching toward the second row of infiltrators. So we'll go ahead and make that change. Other than that, that's basically it. Just working through our final approvals. Like I said, this project will be subject to a DOT permit. We're going to do a slight feathering of the existing asphalt that enters the site. There's like 8 square foot of pavement that we have to put in to establish the width coming into the site. Again, there's an existing entrance that will remain. We're just going to feather out the pavement. You can see it on the screen here with those 2 shaded areas. And obviously we'll have a permit from Mike Kelly for Dr. Fink, and then we'll work with Wanda to secure the water supply modification. But again, all contingent items that we could kind of work through prior to prior to chairman signing the plan. Other than that, that's it.
Chris, you're up. You're muted, Chris.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you. Nope, I had a frog in my throat and I forgot to turn it back off. All right. So I know that Greg Ballner from CPL had a number of comments in both his December 11th letter and his January 26th letter. Did you receive both of those, Brian?
Yeah, I think we've worked through a couple of them. Again, I think these are like dot the I's, cross the T's kind of thing that we can work through after final. Yeah, there's a note on there to remove the chain link fence. We can do that. Working through the parking numbers in Board of Health. I think there was a typo. It should be 7 gym clients instead of 8, I think, on the plan. So we'll make that notification, but the parking provided
it says 7 in one place and 8 in another, so it should be 7. Because then
7. Yeah, that was the Polish in me, dyslexic maybe. I don't know.
So what did that leave us with? 11 total parking spaces or 10?
11, and the requirement under the code would be 12, so that's why they would be asking for a waiver of 1 less parking space based on the location of 7 patrons, 2 trainers, and 2 office staff.
Okay, and that's based on the code, which says 1 parking space per 275 square feet gross area?
Correct. I'm having a little difficulty hearing you, but it is the square footage requirement in the code, the number of parking spaces per 250 square feet, I believe it is. I'd have to look it back up, but it would 12.
All right, good. And so there was also a question about the stormwater flow. Is that what you were talking about with the infiltrators, Brian? I'm not
That's
sure.
basically been addressed by the fact that he gave us the calculations on the infiltrators, and I had somebody in my office take a look at that, and that information looked, the calculations were acceptable, and 1 row of infiltrators were satisfactory, so that if they remove the 1 row of infiltrators, they have the 10-foot separation from the tree, so we don't have to worry about tree roots in the infiltrators.
All right, and then we also had spot elevations on the handicap parking.
Yes, I don't know if those spot elevations have been added, but it's just because handicap parking spaces are very tightly regulated with regard to the allowable slope. We generally recommend that spot elevations be provided to ensure that they do comply.
All right. So it seemed to me there was three other things that we needed to address. So one was going to be addressing waiving the parking space. Is there landscaping requirements that we have to waive as well? Or where do we stand on that? Stacy, I think that was one of your comments.
Ooh, let's check. Okay, so let's see. A while back, Greg had made I guess it might have been one of his ones that was satisfied about the trees in the back, the separation of the trees in the landscaped area of the parking lot. So it's between that and Crystal Closet, and the other one we decided that it was all, you've got your stone wall and the trees are along that property line that was different, but it was the Crystal Closet side. But I think that must have been addressed because all his comments were satisfied.
Okay.
Yeah, to my recollection, we worked through that. We showed landscaping between the two properties.
And then you're taking out the chain link fence.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay.
And there was something to do with town center guidelines. I believe we asked that it's a requested thing to have access to the neighboring property. So Brian, you've checked with Crystal Closet and they've indicated that they're not interested in going through.
Yes, sir. That was one of the first things we discussed in our
Right.
initial presentation. We made the offer to Crystal's Closet to try to do shared parking with shared maintenance. They declined our offer, and we moved forward with our layout as is.
And then you were going to look at the other side just to provide a future kind of connection towards the Dr. Fink end for the other property that's not done. Right by where the tree is that's there now.
Yeah, I think we can handle that. Can we handle that with a notation on sheet 1 of the plan?
Yep, as long as, just indicate also, just say that it's along that property line. It doesn't have to be a location, just that we're doing it.
Yeah, we'll make an acknowledgement, future connection, point, location to be determined when the application comes in.
Oh, I remember what the other landscaping thing was. So where you're showing your sidewalk, you had a stone wall that's there, and you had mentioned at one of our meetings and at the site visit that you were going to clean that stone wall up. So it was a nice stone wall, just like what you were going to do on the side.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's no note on the plan right now. There's a note on the plan saying you're cleaning up the one on the west side, but there's no note saying you're making a nice stone wall and cleaning it up the one along Dr. Fink and the sidewalk.
We'll add that now.
Yeah, and the stone wall should go in between the parking lot and the walkway. That you show there.
Yes.
All right, and then there was the question of the town center does require an architectural review. And there were some comments that we had about what was provided there. I don't know if it was Jennifer. Do you have the details on
Yes, so I
the
went
comments on
through,
that?
I'm going to open that for you all. I went through the section 240-35, subsection H, design standards, section 3, architectural standards, to see if the design complied. And very early on in our, actually a year ago when we met, most of these items were in place. So the building is a board and batten, 1.5 story, sort of 2-story. It looks like a residential structure. Let me see if I can, it's on the bigger plan. Hold on. And I only have a couple of questions for Brian. Brian, what page is that on?
It's probably toward the end there.
Yeah, so this is generally speaking these are the elevations, and we had wanted to
I can't talk right now. I'm in a meeting.
get them in color, Brian, but from what I remember, it is actually a monochromatic scheme, right?
Yeah, whiteboard and batten, black windows for the trim level on the windows, and then standing seam black on the roof.
Right. So, the design is, from what I, from the beginning was, was very much in keeping with the architectural design standards. I'm not sure why here we go. There were just 3 points. So I found, looking at this over, and this is of course only just recommendations of the board can draw its own conclusions, but it seems to be appropriate in terms of its relationship to the site, the scale, the massing, the fenestration, the rhythm, the relation of setback to its surroundings, materials, except in one place where I found a contradiction. The typical wall section on sheet 104 shows asphalt shingle. So you need to revise that since I know you plan to do a metal roof.
Yes, we'll coordinate details and notation.
Okay, and chain link fence is discouraged also in town center, but I understand you're removing that. And finally, the board and batten panels don't appear to extend all the way to the base of the foundation from what I can see on the elevations. And the town center standards request that exposed or unfinished foundation walls not be present. So if there's a way to bring that board and batten further down, obviously it can't go all the way to the ground for moisture reasons, but if it can cover the seam, that would be my recommendation between the foundation and the first level.
Yep, we'll do that. The intention is
you can see here.
Yeah, that's what that is right there is the actual frost wall that goes down. So that's actually the footing of the foundation. So that the solid line that you see above that. So if you look at the illustration above, that board and batten does go down.
Okay.
What you're seeing underneath is the footing or the frost wall.
I just couldn't find a detail that demonstrated that. So
Jennifer, go back up to the other one you're just on. So the line sticking out by the door and by the porch, that's showing you what the elevation of the existing ground or the ground will be.
It was hard to tell. I could see that.
Well, that's what I'm asking him.
Yes.
I'm asking Brian.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just want Brian to confirm that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think what we're showing in this case right here is worst case. I mean, is the worst case. The best case would be this all works back to financials, as I know the applicant does some very nice stonework. So there may be the option down the road that he would maybe peel that back and do some nice stonework along the base. But as of right now, just to keep the budget, we're going to keep the board and batten going down to the grade.
Okay.
So Brian, can we go ahead and make that a part of it, that if there are any exposed foundation walls that they will be decorative stone or decorated in stone or covered in stone or something other than cement, cinder block or cement? Yeah,
it's gonna. I mean, most this building is going to be at grade, so there shouldn't be exposed grade. This is more like, from finished grade up to the window.
Yep.
To the bottom of the sill. Okay. Just like, some nice stone detail, but as of right now, just from budget constraints, keeping the material going down.
And just if there are changes, just check with the building inspector, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right.
I have one more thing too, Chris.
Go ahead.
In town center, what we've been doing is, because the high school had presented us with some good suggestions about our Blandings turtles that are in that area, and they suggested that we ask businesses to put up a sign in their parking lot that says, please check under your car for turtles or wildlife or something to that effect. I know that the bank has those signs. I don't know exactly how they're worded, so you know, you might want to check that. Just one in there, just so that people know.
Sure, we'll handle that with a notation on the plan.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the Mid-Hudson Credit Union.
Yes.
Has the sign.
Yeah, and the DEC liked that idea when we told them we've been starting to do that. So
Good.
in town center.
All right, so are we satisfied with the details of that architectural review?
So let me just recap. So he's going to fix the notations for the metal roof. So we're accepting a metal roof.
Yep.
He's removing the chain link fence. And the batten board is at grade, that there is no exposed foundation wall.
Right.
And
Okay,
so we as a board, Chris, we just have to accept the design architecturally, that an architectural review was done by the planning board and that we accept it. So it has to be kind of before we do everything else.
All right. So,
And then you have to waive your parking lot yet too.
so that should go into the resolution.
Yes.
All right, so before we move to that, let me just ask if our planning board, anybody else in the planning board has any comments or concerns they'd like to bring up?
I just want to remind them when we met on site that no furthest point of the building can break the plane of the property line, you know, the overhang. Because I know it's close to the property line.
Yes, sir. Yep, we meet that requirement.
Okay.
Brian, what's your roof pitch? That one roof looks like it's pretty low pitch for standing seam, right? Or I mean, is that at least a 2 pitch or a 3 pitch?
It's at least a 3.
Okay, you got a 3. All right. And that wood siding, is that knotty? I mean, you're using wood, not hardy board. Is that what you're using? Wood?
It's probably going to be the hardy product.
Right, it's a big difference, but the hardy product, just so you know, you have to, I do hardy a lot, and hardy has to be 3 inches splash from a hard surface or 6 inches from a dirt surface, which means you cannot go to the ground with the hardy.
Right.
It will disintegrate in a year.
Yeah, most.
So what you can do
out,
though
yeah.
is what we do is you can put, I think it would look better with like a thin brick or something, and it wouldn't cost you that much. And it would last. But if you don't want to, you can band it with like AZAC or PVC wood.
Yeah,
and
we'll
then paint
probably.
it to match the white. It's white anyway, but if you paint it, it looks authentic.
Yeah, we'll probably go with some type of AZAC or.
Yeah, because you have to be. I mean, actually, your building is a good example. That's why it rotted like on the bottom, right?
Yep.
Right. Okay.
All right, any other comments? All right, so I think the first thing we need to do is and I'll need a motion to waive the parking to allow 11 parking spaces versus the code requirement of 12.
So moved.
Stacy seconds.
Stacy seconds.
Oh, it's
All in
Jen.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? All right, passed. So we're also okay on the landscaping requirements, right? So now do we need to make that a resolution about the architectural review?
We just, as I believe we vote on that, and we vote that the architectural meets town center zoning standards. We can do it. I thought we do that. Just put 240,
I did.
yeah, 35. Yep. Okay, good.
So would you want to go through the resolution and the conditions now?
Not quite yet. I do want to ask, so first up, we did go through some of the stuff, Greg, and I just wanted to I want to make sure that you're comfortable that the remaining things that need to be satisfied from your comment letter are sufficiently minor that you can review, that we could go ahead with a resolution and you'll look into them and monitor them and let me know before, because I won't be signing the plan until you okay that they're all taken care of.
Yes, I think the rest of them are minor. I mean, I will draw one more, and I think it may be in the resolution, but the foot candle lighting by the sign exceeds a little bit, but that's easy enough to address. It just needs to be addressed, and the photometric plan updated to address that. And yeah, the rest of them, they're just some note cleanup. Yep. That's
All right.
nothing of significance.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you-
And then I would ask that the town attorney, if you're comfortable with where we are on this.
If I can find my unmute button. Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. So Jennifer, if there's no other questions from the planning board, I'll ask Jennifer to go through the resolution and
Okay.
see what we have.
So whereas Amendola Ventures, the applicant, is the current owner of the 0.263 acre parcel of real property located at 1079 Route 55 in LaGrangeville, New York, et cetera, in the town center business zoning district. I'm going to delete certain things that Lisa actually recommended if they're not, in fact, reused in the resolution. Okay. And whereas the applicant is seeking site plan approval from the town of LaGrange Planning Board to allow the removal of an existing residence, to construct a 2-story commercial building of 3,264 square feet. And whereas the applicant submitted for review an application for site plan approval received by the town of LaGrange Planning Department on February 28th of 2020, including a short environmental assessment form, a set of plans.
Does the last revision date of those plans need to change now?
I need to change them. Yes, that's true. Last revised. Now it would be 1/24. Is that correct, Brian?
Sound
2021.
21, yeah.
Okay. The one that you sent me consisted only of 7 sheets, but I think that might have been because you didn't include all the architecturals.
Yeah, it was just a civil package.
Right. But the whole set is going to have to consist of the 17 sheets. Or at least I think it will. I don't, because of our architectural review.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Whereas the planning board classified the proposed action as a type 2 action pursuant to seeker, and whereas in accordance with section 239L and M of general municipal law, actually it was just M. It was referred to Dutchess County Planning.
You should really reflect there what Dutchess County said, whether it was local concern or local concern with comments.
Oh, well, in fact, they did not get back to us. So
Okay.
the first time around, they asked for landscaping and photometrics, which Brian provided, but they didn't. The clock went over on their 30 days. Eileen checked with them. Isn't that right, Eileen?
Eileen, you're probably muted.
Yeah, I resent it to Brad Barkley in December 3rd, and electronically, and I even followed up with him in an email, and he never got back to me. So
Okay. So that gives us a default matter of local concern, I imagine, right?
Sure.
Whereas the planning board opened and closed a duly noted public hearing on July 16th, 2020, and comments were received from the public and duly considered by the planning board. And in fact, I'll just make a note here that the concerns that were raised by the neighbors regarding the speeding on Fink Road, we went into a study about that, or we did a little analysis of that and what we could do, and ultimately an additional stop sign was placed there, and we hope that that's helping the circumstances. And whereas on January 15th, 2021, Dutchess County Department of Behavioral and Community Health approved the plan and report submission dated 1/13/2021. And whereas on today, the planning board conducted an architectural review in accordance with section 24035 of the zoning, and found that it meets town center business zoning district standards. And whereas, having compared the form and substance of the application, the board finds that it meets the conditions. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the planning board hereby grants site plan approval to the proposed action and adopts this resolution of site plan approval subject to the following conditions and modifications, which must be satisfied prior to the signing of the site plan by the chairman of the planning board. Now, there was a comment by Greg, and I just wanted him to mention why it's been removed since the last draft that you received. Brian, not Brian, Greg, would you mind?
The first comment, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, the DOT comment regarding the widening of the driveway.
The DOT comment. Brian had spoken to the DOT. He identified that, and the DOT will not typically issue a permit. They'll simply issue an acknowledgement or a conceptual plan review, and because the permit is issued to the contractor performing the work.
Okay.
Typical.
So if you agree, that's not a condition of our approval.
Number 2, do we have to do a whereas at the top that we waived 1 parking space to 11 instead of 12?
Yeah, that's one of the questions I have. So Brian needs to change the notation of the proper number of employees, trainers and patrons. And does the board want to waive?
We already did, didn't we?
We just voted on that.
Okay, so should I put that up above?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
supposed to be a whereas.
Okay, I will put that in the whereas, that it's waived from 12 to 11, right?
Yes, we waived 1 parking space.
Do you trust me to do it, or do I have to do it in front of you?
You can do it tomorrow and you can send it to me and Eileen, and we'll approve it then. So,
Okay.
I mean, in general, you don't need to read anything that the board doesn't need to consider or vote on for these. So if, the beginning opening parts where you talk about what the project is, you don't have to read those at the meeting. You can simply jump to the conditions and make sure that the board agrees that there are no conditions that should be there that are not there presently.
Happy to do that. Thank you. So indicate the proper number of employees, trainers, and patrons, correct or the duplicate, handicap parking area notation, list spot elevations and grade, not to exceed 2% in the handicap parking area, show removal of existing chain link fence, revise photometrics to reduce foot candles below 0.5 and address excess on neighboring property. And I don't know what you said about the bioswale landscaping strip. Did you have?
My question about that landscape area was simply, is that a bioswale or is that simply a landscape area? And I'm not saying that it has to be one or the other. Brian, is that just a landscape area or is that a bioswale?
Just a landscape area. We have our septic that's close to that area. So.
Okay, that's understood. Okay, so it's fine that that's a landscape area. I just had the question.
You don't need a clarification.
No, they don't need to have that as a condition.
Add a note for future connection to neighboring property to the
To the
west.
western property,
Okay,
neighboring the western side.
okay. Clean up stone wall between parking lot and walkway.
Along Dr. Fink Road,
Okay,
and add it to the plan.
uh-huh. Okay. Add a blending turtle sign.
Yep.
Do you
In
want-
parking area, just put in parking area so they know where it goes.
Do you want it to be consistent with other town center?
Yeah, consistent with other town center properties.
And fix notations for metal roofing on drawing.
And did you need anything about no exposed? I mean, there is no foundation, but do you want to have that as a express condition?
I think it should be in there, so that the building inspector, if he's doing an as-built, he'll know that it's supposed to be covered. Some kind of cover, like,
Just a note that there will be no exposed foundation.
yep.
Okay. Okay,
Good job.
thank you. I have to probably fix a couple of typos, but in any event,
And then you have to put in that, whatever the, Department of Public Works letter, whatever they have, that's the typical stuff, whatever's in their letter.
Department of Public Works.
Yep.
Can
That
somebody,
was down, that was the next one down.
oh, there, of course, that's in there. I have to fix this detail typical for the right wording. So this is also contingent, at least upon the applicant obtaining site development permit from the Administrator of Public Works.
And that was the only thing in their letter?
That was the only thing in Wanda's letter.
Okay, good.
She had a chance to review this and there was no other recommendation.
Okay. Okay, I'll make the motion that we approve the Amendola Ventures site plan.
Okay, second?
With
Do
the
I have a
conditions.
second? I think I heard Mark.
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, the motion is approved.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Well,
Yep.
thank you. And I would take a moment before we move on to the next item because I was remiss. I had not introduced our new planning board alternate to the rest of our planning board. Al Robasco is joining us. He was appointed recently by the town board, and I'd like us all to welcome Al and wish him many long nights spent with us.
Ready with this one?
Welcome,
Spent-
Al.
Thank you.
Welcome, Al.
Welcome.
There you go, Al.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the second point is, given the length of this particular agenda, I'm tentatively scheduling a short 5-minute break in between the Lake Ridge and the Lake Ridge Estates and the Daily Farm item. If it turns out we don't need it, that's great, but I just want to put that on the table. I don't want people to have to be trying to attract my attention on the screen. to say, let's get out of here for a minute. All right, so the next item is partner rentals. This is an amended site plan and special use permit. Proposed project located at 84 Knoxon Road, containing 4.21 acres in the MGH district. That's the Manchester Gateway Hamlet district. Because of it being in that district, the special use permit is required for outdoor storage of rental equipment. And just to let people know, in case you haven't seen where this is almost directly opposite where Fireman's Way comes into Knoxon Road, where the old metal fabricating place used to be. It's since defunct. Our applicant is Fernando del Aguila, Partner Rentals, and Brian, I think you're up on as their engineer as well.
Yes, sir. I appreciate good intro. Again, if we could scroll to page 2, let's zoom in on the existing conditions and then we'll head on over to proposed. Again, good intro. This is the existing metal supply building that's located across from Fireman's Way. What's on site now is an existing slab where there used to be a building, where Jen's highlighting right now. Toward the rear of the building, there's an existing 50 by 60 portion of the building. Then behind that, there's a small shed area. There's an existing asphalt entrance into the site, and then it transitions into like a hardened gravel surface. The site does have central utilities running past it along Knoxon Road, both sewer and water. And there is a stream located just north of the existing entrance in that highlighted blue section. It travels from Knoxon Road toward the rear of the property and then eventually goes under the rail trail. And the other portion of this property, the big thing, is the rail trail is right behind this building. So what the applicant is proposing to do, if we zoom over to the other side here, is he's looking to reestablish the building on the existing slab and repurpose the existing shed area and existing commercial portion that still remains and convert this into a commercial rental business. I want to say about 90% of their business is commercial accounts. And with this action, they would be storing rental equipment on site toward the rear and toward the north in the slant hatch pattern that we're showing in the parking lot area. A majority of the site is already impervious. Where the commercial equipment is going to be going, we would obviously transition the portions that are not hardened surface into hardened surface. There'll be a gate at the entrance for security purposes. Majority of their work, 90% of their work is commercial based. So they actually take the equipment to the site, drop it off. It's used. It's then picked up by their operators and brought back to the site. They have a retail component, but it's the bulk of their business is commercial rentals. They have an existing facility across the river in Kingston, New York. They'd like to come across this side of the river and establish a location here to service the community. What we did to be sensitive to the rail trail is we provided some screening toward the rear. We have some evergreens posted along the rear side. There's going to be a chain link fence that would extend from the existing shed area all the way around along the newly screened pine tree area, and then coming around the site to a gate in the front of the facility. I had a conversation with Bill Trifolo, Dutchess County Department of Public Works, about the entrance and any modifications that would be needed. And based upon the use of this site, it's largely going to be owner occupied, owner used, with their own commercial trucks coming in and out. And he issued an email to me that I will forward to the board that says the entrance can remain as is. And what we're doing with that entrance is obviously no proposed modification. So again, commercial rental business, largely on the commercial side, deliveries are handled by the tenants of the building, by the owner, probably about a 10% retail component. So there will be a small retail area on site that potentially somebody could come in and look at the equipment. But again, this is commercial based. Hours of operation Monday through Friday and Saturday, Sunday closed. Other than that, that's basically it. This is your basic amended site plan.
May I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Go right ahead.
Brian, couple of questions. Will there be fuel oil tanks on this property? And if so, will they be stored indoors or outdoors?
Being a rental business, there will probably be some commercial storage on site, probably outside within a containment unit.
Okay, so with bollards around it and all the protective devices that's needed?
Yes, sir. We will provide you additional detail on that
Okay.
in the locations of such. This was just to get the presentation in front of you, but we will provide more detail.
Okay, also on concrete pads, I'm sure?
Yes.
Okay, and the other question is, how high will the chain link fences be around the property?
I think right now I may be showing 6 feet for security purposes. That seems to ring a bell in my head.
That's what you're showing right here, Brian.
There we go.
Okay. Do you feel that's sufficient, or it should be a little higher?
I mean, I could talk to the applicant about that. And what's the board's feeling on a higher chain link fence?
Brian, if you want, you should check out HO Penn, because they're going to probably have some of the similar equipment than what these guys have, I guess, and kind of the same operation, only they only work with Caterpillars mainly. I think theirs is taller, but this is this property is the first property in the Gateway Hamlet. So like you have HO Penn, and then you have the house and the apartment building, and then you have this. And those are all zoned something else. This is the first parcel of the Gateway Hamlet in this section of Knoxon Road. So I just wanted to let the board know that. So when we're looking at the chain link fence, because chain link fence is really discouraged in Gateway Hamlet. But this is, if you look at HO Penn, they did a chain link fence basically along the back and along the sides so that you don't see a fence kind of thing, but the screening with the trees. But the front has a wooden fence, so that screens all the equipment from Knoxon Road. So, that might be something if we want to stay consistent in this area.
There may be a height maximum for fencing, whether it's by the Gateway Hamlet or it's just for general area. And I think that was 6 feet as far as my recollection in some areas.
Yep.
Right. Well, I'll bring that to the attention of the applicant. I think consistency along the corridor would help. So if we can do something to match HO Penn, I think that would.
Mm-hmm. Because it's basically the same kind of business, I mean, big equipment like that.
Yep.
And again, Brian, on the fence in the front, would you consider a siren gate?
Yeah, we could talk to the applicant about that. Yes.
Okay. Being that the prior property had a problem with a fire in the past, so.
Yeah.
It's a good insurance card there. Yes.
Thank you.
So, just a question for you, Brian. Where you said only the shaded area is where they're going to put the stuff, the outdoor equipment, and everything else is going to be inside?
Yeah, I mean that's the general area where we kind of put just for maneuverability and getting trucks in and out of the site. Just it makes sense to keep equipment along the back side and along the northern side.
And then you would put something like pavers that the grass grows through, or what were you thinking about back there for your hardened surface?
I mean, typically we just do like a hardened item for maybe some geotech underneath it just to keep the fines from migrating through. But again, just a surface that could support the weight of your rental equipment.
Yeah. And just remember the stream there. I know it doesn't seem much of a stream, but I believe it used to be, I don't know if it still is. It was rated as a trout stream by the DEC, so you might want to check that out.
Yep.
And so no equipment whatsoever is going to go on a paved parking lot. Is that what you're saying? I can't read what that says. There's some tiny words right in the middle.
I think it just says existing asphalt.
Okay, yeah. So in the existing asphalt area, yeah, there you go. So that's not going to have any of your rental equipment on it.
I mean, that's the main access point coming in, and a lot of their deliveries are via tractor trailer. So if there is anything there, it'd probably be on a temporary basis for pickup or drop off.
Okay.
And then moved inside for servicing.
Like a loading zone kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. We might want to delineate that as a loading zone area for delivery, for the just loading zone, so that we know that there might be something waiting there to go out or whatever, you know what I mean? So if it's sitting there for a day, it's okay because it's in the loading zone waiting to go, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
And you're going to actually build another building on that pad in the front. That's not going to, right? The existing slab where the burned out building is, that's going to be a new building?
Yes, ma'am. Reestablish the building. Same footprint. Based upon our input from tonight's meeting, we would obviously go back, refine the layout based upon input from the board, with the next submission having full renderings to give the board an idea. Just dealing with the applicant, their colors it's a whitish color in a red. That's their company logo. So there would be a theme of red and white on the building. They usually have a red stripe going through the building, but we'll show that in greater detail once we make our next submission with color renderings of the buildings.
And that's going to be for equipment, or is that going to be for offices and other things like that?
It's going to be a combination of both. It's going to be equipment. It's going to be maintenance, repair, office, and that will be highlighted in our submittal package.
Now, because it's for that kind of idea, and probably some of the pieces are big, it's going to be about a 2-story building, correct?
It's going to have height to it because you're going to have lifts in there to work on equipment.
So the reason why I'm asking is Gateway Hamlet is very similar to Town Center with the type of building design about the 2-story and that kind of thing.
Yep.
So we might, when you're designing the side that faces the Knoxon Road, think about making it look like the same kind of an idea where you have like maybe some high story windows or something. Yeah, like that. See, it looks like there's something else up there. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. We'll conform.
So just make sure that kind of side is facing basically your parking lot and Knoxon Road. And
this is partner in Kingston.
Yeah. It looks like you got a sliding glass door to nowhere. So and also think about the rail trail side, because I know you have your building in the front. That's a 1-story in the rail trail side. Is that going to remain, or are you tearing that one down, or are you reusing it?
Well, the idea was to reuse.
Okay.
To keep budgets in line.
Yeah, so it will give that illusion of the different heights and stuff. You know what I mean? So just make it blend in nice to the building that's coming into the front.
Will do.
Brian, do you anticipate having in the interior any loft space or anything like that? Up some steps?
There may be a mezzanine section in there. We'll talk it over with the applicant, and if we do, we'll provide you access points and square footage.
Great, thank you.
Right. Anybody else on the board like to request information to be included in future submissions that we haven't talked about already? I'm wondering if you could come up with some idea of traffic flow into there, like how often the tractor trailer deliveries might be occurring. it would be helpful for us to understand that.
Yep, we will quantify.
Super. Anybody else want to bring anything up on that, planning board?
So,
Hours of, oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
Hours of operation?
Okay.
I think I have it on the cover sheet, Jen. I think it's 9. What are we, 9 to 5? I'm getting older.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 5 and Saturday from 8 to noon.
There we go.
Okay.
So just a other question. Are you, so your fence around your property is just in the areas where you're disturbing? You're not going to do the whole property, right?
Just in the areas of disturbance where our rental will be, fencing will be inside of the tree planting, so the tree plantings will be on the outside.
Okay. And you've got some trees out in the front too, I see, I think.
Yeah, we provide some shrubs, some trees in the front. But we don't want to lose total visibility on the building, but
Right.
some low growth.
Just look on in the zoning for the, the hamlet zoning for that too, because that's specific. So just take a look at that too.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so before we move on, I think we're going to need to set an escrow on this. And I believe that we had, for this kind of thing, we normally do $2,000. It's an amended site plan and a special use permit. Do I need a motion for that, or is that we just say?
Well, we've been doing it, so we might as well be consistent until we change something.
Okay, so let's do it. Can I have a motion to set the escrow for $2,000?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Randy?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, the escrow is set for $2,000, and we look forward to seeing you come back.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Don't go too far, though. The next project is Red Wing Properties. It's a subdivision. It's a 2-lot subdivision located at 1471 Route 55 in the C zoning district, containing 6.76 acres. The grid number is 457972, if anybody wanted to check that. The applicant is Paul Doherty, Red Wing Properties, and the engineer is Mr. Stokoza is back.
We're back.
We're back.
Jen, if we could go to sheet 2, I think that may have, yeah. So if we go to our upper right-hand corner here, this is our existing conditions plan. So in this plan, I try to detail the site as it exists. We have an existing entrance. Actually, we have 2 entrances off of Route 55 that go into the parcel. There you can see one there. This is at the high point of Route 55, plus or minus. As you go toward Planet Fitness, which is toward the westerly direction, there's another graveled entrance that leads to the back. There's an existing dwelling in the back right now that is occupied. What the applicant would like to do is do a 3-lot subdivision. So there would be two pieces subdivided to create 2 small retail buildings in the front, and then the third piece would continue to support the existing dwelling and the existing access point. So what we have here and what Jen's pointing to is I try to use that's the same access point that exists today, and just modify that, widen that to have a commercial entrance to service the 2 parcels. And then once you're into the site, there'd be a common drive, and we would venture over to the building left and right. Each have their own well, each have their own septic system and parking lot areas. In talking to the applicant, he was looking to, again, just a retail building, retail pad site. As of right now, no specific interests in the site, but just to start the process of trying to create these pad sites. With the drawing that I'm showing here, with the hatched areas that are shaded, the dark gray hatch is your areas of steep slopes. With each of these commercial pieces, we show small little bioretention areas in the back, mitigate any stormwater runoff. Other than that, there's some preliminary landscaping shown. The goal for tonight was introduce the project to the board, establish escrow, receive feedback from the board, and obviously take the application and start providing more detail with landscaping, lighting, moving toward renderings, but obviously just tonight to get a feel from the board.
On the parcel that has the little cottage on it, is the cottage the little square that's way in the back?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so can you just show the driveway to that, or are you going to share the driveway with something?
The driveway, the driveway is going to exist. It exists now, and we show it to remain.
Okay, because oh, it's on that one. Okay, I don't see it on the. Oh, it's real
Very
tiny.
faint.
Yeah,
Very faint red line.
I've got a very old monitor, and I can't see it. So, okay.
I'm testing everybody's eyesight tonight.
It's on mine. It's yellow.
Here, it's very faint. It starts here. It goes up this way.
Yeah.
And leads to the square.
Okay, I see it now. And you're going to have some screening of right now there. So is that hill up, or let's see, which way are we going? I don't see the contour numbers. I can't, they're too small.
Yeah, so the high point, yeah,
we're going down. So wait, I don't see where we are. There we are. Okay, so we're going down. So the front property is higher than that little cottage?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what's the elevation down there at that cottage? I don't see that.
You're probably 15 to 20 feet lower.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's all wooded?
Well, right now where the commercial aspect is proposed is all open, meadow, grass area. Toward the back, as you work toward the back, around the cottage area, it is wooded. You can kind of faintly see the green tree line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little squiggle.
Yep. Okay. In this section here, this is the slightly uphill, right? As we're going, it's not like it's almost flat in this section for traffic wise.
Yeah, you're going uphill toward our entrance. If you're coming from the Taconic toward
you're going uphill.
Toward 82, you're going uphill. And then right past our entrance is the apex, and then you're transitioning down.
Okay. Okay. And with that apex, you've been checking sight distance with that, right?
Right. We haven't. Yeah, and that's mainly why we're using the existing commercial entrance. Actually, not commercial. We're using the existing entrance, transforming it into a commercial entrance, and we have run preliminary numbers, and we do have the sight distance.
And you'll get the traffic. There's a traffic generation of trucks and stuff, kind of thing, like you did for Hot Ash, kind of thing. Or is there going to be delivery trucks, and what size, kind of thing?
Right. I mean, we're more on a retail side, but yeah, we'll do the truck generation. We'll show you the turning templates, but just trying to get a general feel for the board and the layout and the concept.
Yeah.
Chairman?
Yes.
I just wanted to note that as of right now, the zoning is commercial. But Brian, take note that your schedule, your bulk table, where's that?
On the other side. Other side.
Yeah.
Yep, right there.
Zoning information. That's going to that'll change, although it suits both zoning districts, but it may change to general business if this area, if the zoning, if the FEIS is approved and accepted.
Correct.
So this wouldn't be grandfathered in to the old zoning for this particular project?
Sorry, the question?
So the question is, would this, since this is starting under the commercial zoning, would it be for this particular project, we will continue with commercial zoning for the reviews. It will be grandfathered into that for this review.
I think I asked that question to Lisa a few weeks ago. Lisa, do you want to add?
In general, the zoning that applies is the zoning that's in effect when you get your approval. It would really depend how the town board enacts their local law. They could make it only contingent going forward or only things that are in the pipeline. But in this instance, for this application, I don't think it's going to have much difference because the uses that are proposed are allowable under both.
Right.
So unless it changes certain setbacks in a significant way, I don't think it's going to have much impact one way or the other on the project.
Yeah, it's not affecting this property.
But the short answer is typically it's, when you get your approval is when your zoning is locked.
Yeah, I think we've done it. If you've had preliminary approval, but site plans don't get that, only subdivisions do. But if you've had preliminary approval, then you're locked. Once, if you don't have that in the subdivision, then you're not locked in. I think that's how our law usually is written.
So it sounds like this may be that the zoning may change before we get, the second submission from Brian, but we'll see.
I do want to point out that we had a letter from the LaGrange Public Works dated 1/17. Hopefully you've got that, Brian. It asks that you be directed to work with the Public Works Office to address MS4 compliance before the next submission, and then points out that it will require a review by DOT. They're also asking for floodplain, riverine wetlands, and wetland buffers to be added to the next submission.
Yep, understandable.
Thank you. Any additional comments from the planning board? Anything you want to ask to be included in the next submission?
What's it gonna look like when it's landscaped?
To look like Disneyland.
That's what we want to hear.
Yeah, we'll get you some renderings. We'll get you a full landscaping plan, but obviously we'll do something that complements the site, complements the corridor, but also still maintains visibility to the site.
Beautiful, beautiful.
All right.
All right. So this will also require an escrow. So I think it's the same as the last one. Could I have a motion to set the escrow for $2,000?
So moved.
Mary?
Mary? Second?
Second.
Randy?
Randy, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. So the escrow is set at $2,000.
Thank you, guys. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. So our next
Wait,
project.
before Brian leaves, is Brian still here?
Oh.
Brian, you still here? Remember, we wanted to think about site visits for these.
Oh, I'm not sure we want to do site visits for the initial. I think I'd like to see the next submission before we do that.
Okay.
Sometimes there's a very, very lengthy delay.
Yep.
Between the initial and an actual submission. There are two that I think we should consider site visits later on in the agenda. You okay with that?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay. So we're now up to Living Water Church. This is a site plan and special use permit. This is a proposal to construct a 21,850 square foot church and worship center on Arthur'sburg Road on a parcel that's 14.9 acres. It's in the residential flexible district 80 zoning district. The reason why a special use permit is required is that in the RFD 80 zoning district, a special use permit is required for civic buildings and places of public assembly, such as churches. So our applicant is Kenneth Ewalt, Associate Pastor, and we have the engineering firm of Renier and represented by Peter Sander that's handling this. Is there a representative of this project on hand?
Good evening, Chairman. Peter Sander from Renia.
Hi, Peter. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Well, so far, so good.
Disappointed Brian isn't around to present my project too.
I know.
But
that could be arranged, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll work on it. So I'm just going to give you guys a little rundown of what we're proposing, and we'll open it and discuss it once I'm done. All right. So the applicant, Living Water Church, is proposing a 21,000 square foot plus or minus church / sanctuary building on Arthur'sburg Road. As you said, the parcel is located in the RFD district, requiring special use permit. As you can see, the proposed structure is sitting on top of a hill and is led, and you access it gaining this proposed boulevard entrance coming off Arthur'sburg. You'd come up the road and enter the parking lot area where you'll see the structure. The proposed structure is approximately going to have seating for 400 congregation goers. Included preliminary plans show that we're going to have a mezzanine area with classroom space for toddler and pre-K religious education, and also office space for the church to conduct their administration work. There's also going to be a large foyer, which allows all the congregation goers to enter in this kind of really aesthetic looking area overlooking the hillside. Also included will be a new deck area, which will allow people to congregate outside, as well as a tiered grass lawn, kind of similar to how you see it on college campuses, where you'll have grass and then a nice retaining wall that will allow people to sit and lounge out there. Also shown on the site plan is a potential for phase 2. It just very preliminary thoughts of possibly adding a pavilion area and then a maintenance garage for congregation goers to kind of repair their equipment and also store on-site equipment. Included as part of the development is the access drive off of Arthur'sburg, a new parking area, new septic, and stormwater features to accommodate all the proposed development. Other than that, it's a fairly straightforward site plan. We wanted to just submit something preliminary and get some initial comments and feedback from the board, make sure we're on the right path, and be able to provide you more detailed plans in the future.
Okay. I did notice that when you came to visit us in February of last year, pre-COVID, in fact, yeah, you had presented that preliminary idea of 16,675 square feet. And then, so that was one of my questions, that you decided to upgrade that or upscale that. And then it also was at that time to be located on 2 undeveloped parcels. So I'm assuming that you've combined the parcels and now it's a single parcel?
Correct. So both of the parcels have been combined, and the increase in footprint is after speaking with the architect and trying to work on the assembly space configuration. We turned out we didn't have enough space to kind of accommodate the more modern designs with the sort of angled seating arrangements towards the stage area. So we've had to expand it, and included with the expansion, we added some additional office space and classroom space. So that's for the expansion. Also, per the planning board's request, we've provided the access road from that neighboring parcel that would allow for a second form of egress. So
lot 1 belongs to you too, or no? Rocky Holdings LLC?
Yeah, there is not, but there is access that was allowed. This site was initially proposed to be subdivided with several parcels, and then access to those parcels being provided off that existing drive on lot 1. So that's why we've allowed our emergency egress path to go along that area, just to allow another form of egress. Also, it would be, there's not really much accessibility with the Taconic State Parkway to the east. and then the wetlands to the west. There's not really other areas that egress could be provided.
Okay, I'm still confused. So the lot number 1, LLC, do you own that?
Lot number 1, that square parcel that's shown kind of in the middle, that is not owned by us. No.
Okay. And you have an easement that goes across that? Is that what you're trying to say, or no?
Correct. Yes.
You do. You have an easement that goes across lot 1 that says you can use as an access road.
There might be a little more interpretation, but based off our previous review of the subdivision documents, and it appears that the primary parcel does reserve an easement for that.
Okay, so you should check into that easement because you'll probably need a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Peter, on the secondary access road, what material will you be using for that?
We were just thinking of a typical gravel access. Again, the primary entrance for the site would be the boulevard entrance off Arthur'sburg. We would not really want guests and churchgoers to go through that parcel on a regular basis. Again, it's more to serve as emergency egress and then a possible walking path if people wanted to come down and check out the wetland areas. So,
okay, thank you.
And so this, if I don't know how many of the planning board members know where this is or have seen it, it's very beautiful. It's got some, tall trees, very little underbrush, but a lot of rock and a lot of stone walls and what looks like what used to be driveways or some kind of paths cut into everything. I'd like to see some of that saved if we can, and incorporated into your drive to get into the site.
So we actually took a look. There is an existing stone wall driveway. Our goal is actually to reuse those stone walls for along our new entrance. The problem being that if we were to utilize the existing entrance on the Arthur'sburg Road, it would kind of create this very windy, not super efficient drive up to the main area. It would be a real hassle for emergency vehicles to get up there and in general. So we wanted to preserve that existing feeling by using those stone rocks for our own dry stone stack wall along our boulevard.
But if you leave some of them, even, when not near the walk or the road, you leave some of them in place the way they are, you could use them as meditation areas and grottos and that kind of stuff. Because that's the feeling it gives you when you drive by there, is like it's a meditation area.
Gotcha.
So it would be nice that if you could leave some of those there.
Mm-hmm. And Peter, on the Boulevard Road, what do you anticipate the width to be?
So we have 13-foot aisles on either side with a 10-foot grass median in between. We also have some landscaping that's going to be proposed down the middle of there to kind of give you that entrance, like you're entering through, and then as you turn around, you come up the hill and you see the church.
And you did mention that the original intention was to do a steel frame building, but have more of an Adirondack Lodge style. Is that still your intent?
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely still our intent. We kind of want to use some stone surfaces. It really gives it that rustic feel. We'll provide building elevations in future submissions as required, but I kind of wanted to run this idea and make sure that we were going in the right direction.
I do want to touch base again on what you mentioned about the potential future use in that upper area, there's a structure, possible proposed structure that's got the X on it.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, that is actually not a structure. That's the location of our proposed septic system.
It's that little tiny one right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right here, 5,000 square feet.
Okay.
And what would that be? Just a pavilion?
Yeah, again, this is a very preliminary thought based off of conversations with the applicant. They wanted more of an open space in the future, but yeah, so it would be an open air pavilion currently, There may be some sort of enclosure to provide some bathroom facilities, which shows our connection to the existing septic tank. But again, this is a very future phase that we're planning on doing. Where our primary objective is to get the proposed church structure in there first.
Well, you might have to build that one first so you can have everything outside and a social distance, you know?
You might need to just open up the whole building.
That's right. But you mentioned something, maybe you misspoke, but you mentioned something about an structure or a space where the congregation might be able to do their own equipment repairs.
Oh, so if you go to the bottom right-hand corner of the phase 2 site plan on the site plan portion of our drawings, we show a small 900 plus or minus square foot maintenance garage. The intent of that was more for equipment storage, but the applicants also were thinking about, having congregation members bring some like more community church services and organization, just to be able to help some of the older members out without having to send them to an auto body shop or something, but primarily on-site equipment storage on mowers and all of that.
All right, so we may want to explore that more as we move forward on this. All right, were there any other? Go ahead, Stacey.
Yeah, just there's specific parking lot requirements. So you might want to look at those, the type of curbing, the type of landscaping that has to be within the parking lot. There's all kind of specific regulations for that. So you might want to look at that before you actually design the parking lot totally.
Okay. Right now we're actually incorporating some of our stormwater aspects into that island. Right, we have a sand filter in that main median to kind of catch sheet flow coming from the building.
And if you think about it, if you've ever been to Adams down in Wappingers, they have a nice bio retention rain garden type thing in the middle of their parking lot that's collecting a lot of their parking lot stuff. But I know this lot is like almost solid rock, so you have to work with that too. But if you get the idea, because some rain gardens in this area inside your little landscaped areas in your parking lot might be nice little additions for your, to give it not so much of a feeling as a lot of blacktop, but also
break it up a little bit and really get some green space in there.
Get some serenity to it.
Yeah, I think the lighting plan would be important as well on this property.
Right. So
especially because it's so close to the Taconic Parkway too.
No, we fully anticipate this. Again, it was more of a preliminary submission to make sure you guys kind of like the building placement, are okay with the idea, and we'll be providing more fully fleshed out designs in subsequent submissions.
And the only other thing I have to say is also driving past this, I noticed that the neighbors are really using this site. So, just be aware.
I've been told the applicants are on very friendly basis with the neighbors, so we should be all right.
That's good. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Go right ahead, Jen.
I just wanted to mention, we had discussed potentially getting the long environmental assessment form because of the site.
That's what I was just going to bring up.
Sorry.
Is that something that should we refer this over to Greg to take a look at to determine if that's sort of appropriate?
Well, we can, as a planning board, request that too if we want it. I sort of am the one that requested that because of all the rock outcrops and the wetlands and everything like that.
All right. So that might be very helpful to us, Peter.
Yeah, so we'll include that as well in our next submission.
Okay. So I know that we have already received, we have an escrow of $1,000 from you already. I just wanted to ask Eileen, does this fit into the category of the more of a major project where we normally keep a $2,000 minimum?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so Eileen, Peter, if you would work with Eileen to make sure that the balance in the escrow account is kept sufficient for us to engage all our professionals in this.
Right. Yep. Eileen will be in touch.
Okay, Peter.
Any other
Now,
questions?
so is this going to Greg or not? Are we sending this to Greg?
I
For
think
the
it-
long, no, for the long form, we're going to go ahead and Peter's going to go ahead and provide the long form.
Right, and
correct?
then are we referring it to Greg after we get that?
Yes.
Okay.
With all of the rock on this property, is there any intention to do any type of blasting to help clear that rock at all?
I'm not entirely sure yet. Our goal was kind of to elevate the structure so it's kind of sitting on top of that rock. Ultimately, it's we'll have to figure out whether or not blasting is going to be needed to provide the foundation. So that's something I'll be able to answer in subsequent planning board meetings.
Because I'm just concerned about any repercussions with any of the neighboring properties and their foundations or their structures.
Right. Yep.
Is the 400 capacity all the buildings or just the big building?
So that's just the big building for its maximum design. We don't really anticipate a total of 400 people initially. Congregation size is a little bit smaller than that, but we're proposing the 400 just for the growth of the building. And we're not really anticipating the pavilion or any of that to increase that, just because the congregation itself really limits the amount of people who would be at the site.
Okay.
All right, so we've also received a letter from Public Works on this. It will require a SWIP. It will require review by the Dutchess County Department of Public Works. I assume that there'll be a DOT connection and a state connection because of the Taconic State Parkway nearby. So there's going to be a bunch of reviews that'll have to happen.
Arthur'sburg Road is considered a county road in that section,
Is it? Okay.
I believe.
Well, there's right near there is the exit though from Taconic. So
Yep, and basically it's also a turnaround for trucks. So trucks that get to that point and realize they can't get on the parkway, they can turn around and come back. So,
right.
You know, when you're doing your looking at your traffic, you just have to make sure you know that there, even though it's near the Taconic, there may be trucks coming in both directions.
Got it. Trucks.
Because, you know, especially delivery trucks. So if a delivery truck has to deliver to that house on the corner there, when they leave, they're going to come back. And then the ones that get their GPS all mixed up and get that far, they realize they have to turn around and come back.
Yeah, the whoops turn.
Yeah.
So Public Works also points out that you'll need to provide a stormwater performance bond estimate, and then you'll need to enter into a stormwater management facilities maintenance agreement, and they will provide you draft language through our Public Works and our town attorney.
Gotcha. So yeah, I'll talk to Wanda on that one.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the planning board on this? All right, good. So we can move on.
Awesome. Cool.
Thank you very much,
guys. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is H.G. Page Lumber. This is an amended site plan and special use permit. This is a proposed amended site plan located on Route 55 at 360-364 Manchester Road, containing 2.79 acres in the Manchester Gateway Hamlet. And as with that the previous partners rental, because it's in an MGH zoning district, they require a special use permit because of proposed outdoor storage of landscaping materials. So to position this is located in the area that used to have warehouses in between the Page Home Center and the corner where the light exits Old Manchester Road. Applicant's HEG Page, and the engineering group is LRC Group, and I believe Kelly Leibold is representing them. Are you here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay,
Kelly,
thank you.
do you want to share your screen?
Oh, yes, sure. It says host disabled participant screen.
Okay, hold on.
Sure.
I'm giving it to you. There you go.
Okay.
You should have it now.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that introduction. So I'm Kelly Leibold with KRC Planning, representing the applicant, Page Lumber. As many of you know, Page Lumber is located on Manchester Road on Route 55. The property and the use actually straddle both sides of Route 55, with the southerly side housing most of the structures, being the primary retail building, and the north side occupying the outdoor storage, predominantly the lumber and other storage materials. On the subject parcel that's on the screen, a few months ago, you would have seen 3 buildings on this property. The primary building that I'm circling would be the retail store. Route 55 is on the top of the screen. And Old Manchester Road is on the back of this property. So it's a unique property that straddles 2 roadways and 2 frontages. Prior to a few months ago, there was another building in this center area that was recently removed, and that was previously used for storage, and at this point was not structurally sound and useful for the storage that they were proposing. There is a third building that's located on the westerly side of the parcel, pretty much on the corner of the apex of Manchester Road and Old Manchester Road, that is an existing warehouse. Sorry, did someone ask something?
Nope.
Okay. So the center of the property where I'm circling is really the subject of the focus of the site plan amendment that is before you. We previously thought that this project actually may fall under the minor revision, but I believe because it requires a special permit, obviously it needed to come before the planning board, but of course is a rather de minimis action like the other outdoor storage project. So the applicant is proposing to do some minor modifications to the parking configuration on the property to allow the outdoor storage again in this center area. The site has existing ingress and egress off of 55 and Old Manchester Road. And as many of you probably know, the ingress on Old Manchester Road is rather wide open and somewhat of a free-for-all. So we're hoping as part of this application to channelize and centralize that. What we're primarily proposing is within this fenced-in area that I'm identifying is to house the outdoor storage of mostly landscaping materials using 4-foot-high ready rock walls, containers similar to you see at the other Page Lumber location further out on 55 on the other side of the Taconic State Parkway. The storage will be fully enclosed with the chain link fence to keep retailers, consumers through a centralized program. If someone needs to be loaded with materials, they can enter through one of the gates that are secure, drive through, load their vehicle, and then proceed back out onto their roadway system. Other than those modifications, again, just modifications to the parking area and then the enclosures for the landscaping with the chain link fence. Those are the only modifications that we're proposing to the property at this time. The retail building will remain as is, and the outdoor storage warehouse will remain as is with existing storage of materials. I'm happy to answer any questions or address something that I may have left off in the presentation.
So how high are the bins?
They're 4 foot high.
4 foot high. And they're out of what, like railroad tie kind of thing, or are they concrete, or what are they?
They're masonry, they're concrete. Ready Rock is a material, it's a prefabricated product similar to somewhat of a mafia block. And I could provide you with an illustration on a next submission just to show you what that would look like.
Yep.
That's a very old term, mafia block.
Yes, it is.
In the New York State DOT meetings, we're not allowed to use that. It has to be called a concrete block.
Okay. I'm old school, so that's how old
Yes.
I'm showing my
Yes.
age.
I was reprimanded about it one day. Yes.
Everyone needs to be politically correct anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just
Mark,
don't
do they
mention
need
any
a siren
family
gate
names.
for that? Mark?
No, I said just don't mention any family names.
Mark, do they need a siren gate?
I would suggest it if there's going to be flammables in there and things like mulch that can just ignite on their own, things like that. There should be a siren gate, Kelly,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
All right.
And I
Okay.
imagine Kelly, that's what they're going to be putting in the bins, being landscape
Yes.
material, things like
Yes, correct.
mulch. Yeah, so absolutely, if we could. Thank you.
So Kelly, is part of your site that detention pond that's at the corner of where the comes out into 55?
It is not. I think what you're referencing is this area.
Yeah.
This is the property line, that
Okay.
dark line. So that is, I believe, owned by New York State DOT.
And do they have I know they have a walkway that's the sidewalk that starts to go around that. Is that continued?
There's a sidewalk, if you can see on the screen, this dark hatched line, that's the sidewalk that's along 55. I don't believe that it crosses over or comes around the back of the property at the moment.
And Kelly,
I'm trying to look at parcel access, and it looks like it goes across the street and then the sidewalk goes from there to the rail trail.
On the back on Route 55 on Old Manchester Road?
Yeah, it goes across your sidewalk goes across there, and then you use the other side of the road to get to that rail trail. But is there any way to get to your rail trail besides just cars? Like, Paige gave that railroad, the one that's directly across from your entrance.
Yeah, I think there's a parking lot right here for access for the rail trail.
Right. So I was wondering if, if we need any kind of a crosswalk, but you wouldn't, because there's the only way to get to that is from that other side. So really the crosswalk should go on the other side of the street.
Yeah, we wouldn't necessarily, I understand, I'm a big advocate of sidewalks and crosswalks, but I don't know if I would necessarily want to encourage people to park that are using the crosswalk on the retail side and crossing the street.
Well, I was just going to say, if the sidewalk had gone around that retention pond and ended at your property, I would say, yes, we would need a sidewalk that continued. But
understood.
It looks to me like that when the county put that in, or the state put that in, they never put a sidewalk with it. They actually put the sidewalk on the other side of the street.
Okay.
Kelly, on the Old Manchester Road side where the parking spaces are on your plan?
Yes.
What are you going to use to delineate the Old Manchester Road from the asphalt of the parking lot? Because right now you could drive right up there.
It is. It's definitely a free-for-all. At the moment, we're showing that as striping only. We'll certainly reach out to the county and see if they have any preference for that particular area. And we can get back to you on what their response is.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
And since this is Gateway, we try to keep parking lots a little bit green. So you might want to think of in that area, between the road and the first parking lot stuff in that area there.
And right there. Okay.
To put some kind of a landscaping buffer or something in there.
Okay, we'll see what we can fit in there. We'll look at that.
Yeah, just because that's in our code too, that you have to have landscaping within your parking lots.
Okay.
And do you have any landscaping on the other side, or like where your masonry bins are?
We haven't shown any at the moment. I wanted to speak to the planning board and see, really get the synopsis of your comments. The property line is pretty close right here, so we can look at that and see what we might be able to provide.
Because you used to have some really scraggly trees there.
There was a lot of scraggly trees all around this property, and we tried to clean that up. So we can look at that and see what we can provide. Okay.
Now, the parking lot in the front of the home center, it's actually quite common for cars that are on Route 55 or proceeding east, or cars coming out of Overlook Road across the way. In the off hours, when the home center is closed, they cut through the parking lot and zoom around to go down onto Old Manchester Road. Now, is that dashed line going to represent anything that's going to cut off that passage, or?
We don't have anything proposed now, and we are aware of that. It's a constant struggle to try to minimize that. We did put in those speed bumps that they attempt to stop people. I don't think that they're enough of a deterrent. It's really an enforceable issue that's very challenging on a lot of properties like this. I'm hoping that perhaps making this really more of a kind of a hard 90 for someone to make would reduce that with the speed bumps. Short of putting up a gate at night, I'm not sure what else we can do. I think there was a period of time where there used to be a chain that went across the two buildings. So we've tried to deter that. If anyone has any suggestions, we're certainly welcome to entertain those.
Well, I would suggest from a safety firematic standpoint that you do not put up a gate there, so there could be access to all to all sides of the buildings in case of an emergency.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's why the gate was taken down.
Okay.
Because of emergency purposes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
But I do know a cop sits in there sometimes at night, catching the people coming down the hill really fast.
Okay, yeah, they're definitely out there. It's as much as we can do. I think it's a never-ending problem.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Oh,
is that going to be green landscaping there, where on the smaller bins where you have that looks like
in here?
Yeah, is that going to be
right now? We don't. We have that just as a dashed area. We can look and see how we may be able to enhance that. It's the interesting thing. I actually had Google Maps up, but I'm struggling with being able to share it. But the real interesting thing is, as you come along on 55, it's almost like a sort of a pimple in everyone's world when you drive past this site, this centerpiece, because you really don't see it. It's flanked by the one building on the one side and the other building on the other side, depending upon what way you're going. So we didn't really focus on that internal, but we can look at the landscaping and see what we're able to provide here.
So you might want to do something like, see how you have it bumped out and you're thinking about landscaping there. You might want to maybe on the other side, kind of do the same thing.
Here.
It might just slow, making that area less wide might deter people from cutting through there.
Sure. Okay.
And maybe not just straight lines, but some curvy stuff to give it a little bit of a landscaping look, because that's your landscaping area,
Okay, that's a good comment. Okay.
But just so you know, Kelly, the 30-foot entrance and the 24-foot wide entrance is greatly appreciated.
Okay, good. Very good. And, if there were an issue with the fire, obviously you could make this turn, if you were coming in, so you'd have room to make that sweep.
That's why I was saying that. That's greatly appreciated for the size of the equipment.
Good.
So thank you.
Are these employees going to be working out of the lumber building or the other building?
Out of the lumber building. There will be storage in the other building. We're going to continue to use that for storage. but they'll
Right.
be, their primary point of employment is from the retail building.
Okay,
But there'll be staff here to assist, just like on the other side, if you purchase
Right.
lumber, you get a ticket and you go over and you pick it up. It'll be the same here. If you're purchasing landscape materials, you get a ticket and then you can go over and get your vehicle filled.
Right.
The nice thing about it is it's so small that employees can stay in the retail store and walk over when someone comes in.
right.
So the point of sale won't be outside, I think is probably what you're asking, is the point of sale will be inside the retail store.
Okay.
Right.
And Kelly, storage of any fertilizers inside that corner building warehouse you'll notify us about that?
I will follow up with you and ask about that, yes.
Great, thank you.
The chain link fence. I know we have, since this is Gateway, and this is really one of the first projects now in the Gateway area, this section. We haven't really looked at alternatives to the chain link fence. I know you want chain link so you're kind of visible so that people can see your landscaping stuff, but again, so that people can't get in to steal it. So that's a dilemma for me right now. So I have to think on that one. That's why I was asking for some landscaping in that section, so that it kind of disguises the chain link fence a little bit, because you're looking at the landscaping and not the chain link fence.
Understood.
Or I don't know if there's some other kind of fencing that is not chain link, but you can see through it. I don't know. I have never looked into that. So you might want to look into something like that.
I think I appreciate your comment. Certainly understanding the gateway perspective and that same conversation with the prior applicant. We'll look at that. It is a concern. Of course we want people to see the product, but it's also maybe more important to make sure that that is not screened at night and off hours, so there is the ability to see in there. We may be able to address the means to the end, which is screening through some of the landscaping and be able to keep that chain link just for durability as well.
Yep. Or even a combo, like you might not need it over at the other end of the building, where that it's going around that building.
Okay.
You can use the building wall.
Yeah, we're using the building wall here. Yep. And then so this side and this side.
But right there where your cursor is right now, that might be able to be some other kind of fancy looking fencing, because that's really nowhere near anywhere you're storing stuff, and it will look like an extension of the building itself, kind of thing.
Okay. All right. We'll look at
just
that.
some ideas to throw out to think about,
Okay.
And Kelly, one other thing about the existing building on the corner, again, getting back, if there's fertilizers and whatever you're putting in there, could you speak to the applicant about possibly doing a wet sprinkler system in there as well?
I will ask them about that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Chairman?
Yep.
Will we be passing this one on to Greg as well?
I believe we will.
Yeah, I believe so too. All right, thanks.
Right. So, yes, and towards that, we will need to set an escrow on this, and we know it's going to require some immediate attention by Greg. So I think we wanted to ask for an escrow of $2,500 on this one.
I'll make the motion.
You don't need a motion.
Stacy made the motion. Do I have a second?
Paul.
Paul makes this. All in favor?
Aye.
Hold on.
Mr.
Anyone
Chairman,
opposed?
Wait.
Yes. What?
I just have a couple of other comments. I noticed that my comment memo got cut off in the packet. Just a couple of questions. Do you mind?
Jennifer, can you wait till he says the motion's carried, please?
Oh, sorry.
Right. So the motion is carried. All right. So you may proceed with your question.
Yeah. I wondered if there was some thought to limiting the egress and ingress of the trucks. I wasn't sure if I heard you say that to Old Manchester, and whether the site distances are adequate for that.
We have not thought about limiting vehicular traffic to Old Manchester solely. So vehicles, trucks can still come in at the signalized intersection at 55.
But once they do it once, they probably don't want to do it again because they're going to want to go all the way around and it'll be easier for them than trying to snake around that 90-degree turn.
Correct.
Yeah. Another question I had for you was regarding the proximity to the designated wetlands and floodplains, obviously in the creek. You talked about some landscaping and whether there's any thought of incorporating green infrastructure. I spoke with Ken, who shared this plan with us last year. And he thought maybe where possible, for example, that in those green areas in the parking, you could have better infiltration.
We can look at it. There's very, very limited areas here. You know, almost 100% of this site now is impervious. We're going to look and see what we can do as far as adding some landscaping and creating some planters. Whatever we're proposing is certainly an improvement over what was there and what is there. As far as additional landscaping, I'm not sure about any other green infrastructure. The plan that had been proposed and discussed with you probably over a year ago, quite some time, was a significantly different plan, utilizing interior spaces and so forth. So this is a quite a modification to that. Again, we felt as if it was a minor or medium revision warranting, you know, just a more expedited review. We're hoping that you concur with that.
Well, it turns out that it's not possible because of the special permit, but we can talk offline a little bit more about that.
Okay. Okay.
Last week, but now that it's in front of the planning board, essentially the planning board is reviewing it. So, but let's talk offline a little bit more about that.
Okay.
Also, the question of the ADA parking area. Normally, ADA parking spaces are located as close to the entrance as possible, and I realize that they are already on the corner there. But if there's any chance to migrate them closer to somewhere between the entrance and exit there at the front, I think that would be preferable. Generally, it's recommended.
Okay, we can look at that. There may be some reason that I don't know why they're there, but I will look at that.
Okay, and finally, the county will require landscaping, lighting, photometrics, and elevations as part of their review. So I think elevations could probably focus on the area that's new, not necessarily the existing buildings, but they will want to see what that will look like from probably both perspectives, the county road and the Route 55.
So for purposes of elevations, I think it would be challenging to provide a building elevation because we're not building this in SketchUp.
I mean, right.
A visual representation of what it'll look like.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about the green, right now where your existing building is on the corner on the east side, that little triangle between where your fence is going and where the edge of the pavement is right there. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't read that. I don't know if that says that you're going to be removing that impervious surface and then go ahead and reseed that. But that would be a good idea to do that since you're not going to be driving there anyway.
Sure, we can look at that and see if that's feasible.
Because then that will help give you some more green in there.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay, we can look at that.
And then yeah, check out the parking because I think the reason why they're over there is there's planters in front of the building.
Right here, yeah.
Yeah, and there's steps in front of the building. There's no, but the only place that there's a nice gradual place is along that wall, along that walk there.
Yeah, I saw that they had, Ken Casamento from LRC had created that little ramp area, and that's why I think that they were placed there.
Yeah. Well, that's where they are. That's where they exist now. See the one in the front?
Yeah. Yep.
That's where it is now because that's
the
most gradual grade to get up to where the
sidewalk there to get
out
out
into the store. Because the side over here next to your number 12 those are stairs. You have to go upstairs if you're using them
Okay.
down here in this corner where the building is. Where the
Okay.
building entrance is, that's where you go and you buy the building materials.
Yes.
Down there by the
Yep.
number 12. That's like 5 or 6
Contractor
steps. So
Okay.
it's the site.
Oh,
whole.
here. Yeah, here you're saying, yeah, this is a big
Yes.
steep. Yes, correct. Thank you for that comment.
Yep.
I was gonna ask that too, where it says proposed new entry to rear of building. Are you keeping those steps or getting rid of them?
They're staying.
Okay,
Yep, they're staying. I don't know why that is there, but those steps are staying.
okay,
Well,
I
is
think
that-
what they're showing
is
is
that
the
gonna be a ramp?
sidewalk. I think what it is there's a sidewalk here, which is a new entrance. So these parking spaces here don't exist now. This is where everyone goes flying through at night to cut
right,
through. So
right.
what we're doing is creating these parking spaces, and then this sidewalk is being added. So I believe that that's why that says proposed new entrance here to the sidewalk, and then you can get back into the front of the building.
Okay,
Or is that going to be a ramp up to where that stairs is? Is it, you think? Or
No, I
just a
think it's the
sidewalk?
sidewalk. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
fairly certain it's the sidewalk there to get everyone into the building.
Okay.
Just
Because it's a good three feet at least from the parking lot to the doorway.
Yeah, it's several steps there.
Yeah.
Just one more note, Kelly, you will be glad to know that it's a type 2 project because as the law changed in the end of 2019, existing buildings that are being rehabbed are not a building such as this one and the amended site plan, they're considered exempt.
Okay, very good. Thank you for seeker purposes. Thank you.
That'll definitely expedite.
Yes, thank you. So if I understand it correctly, we'll look at some of these modifications that the board had raised and the consultants, get you your escrow, provide an amended submission, and then hopefully at that point we'll have a plan that is suitable for submission to county planning for their review. And is there a public hearing that's required for this project?
Yes.
Because it's a special permit, you have.
Okay.
In site plan, you have to have a
I think we need to, I didn't see a letter from Wanda's office, but we should probably make sure we distribute it over to her in case there's any considerations she needs to review.
Is that something, Mr. Chairman, that you need us to facilitate, or is that something that's done internally? Okay, very well.
No, that's what we would do it internally.
Okay, very well.
I just want to make sure that we have everybody's eyes on the prize.
Is this normal, the procedure that you can schedule the public hearing now, or you will schedule the public hearing when we get our amended submission in?
When we amended submission that we've determined that we're comfortable, it's far enough along that we can go ahead and do
Understood.
the circulation and all that kind of stuff.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah, we want to see what you've come up with, because some of the stuff that we've asked you to do is for you to check into these things, and you give us some ideas of some different, like the type of fencing, where the fencing is, the landscaping, that kind of stuff. So when we see that, then we can, get a better idea if it's more of what we have envisioned for the site.
Okay, very well.
Mr. Chairman,
Go right ahead.
I just want to ask Kelly a question. Kelly, when you do make the resubmission, the routine, you can submit it to me digitally.
Okay.
Can you also supply 3 hard copies? Because now we have a board member who prefers the maps rather than digital maps.
Very well. We will do
I
that.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks, Eileen.
Okay, I think,
Eileen,
are
you
we
sure
ready to
don't
move
need
on?
more Eileen, you sure we don't need more copies paper than that? I thought we need 4.
No, 3 is fine.
Okay.
Just for the resubmission, once we do a referral and that's accepted, then Kelly will supply me with. But
Yes.
Most agencies now are doing it digitally, right, Jennifer? Yeah.
New York
All
State DOT, for example, takes it digitally now as well.
And county planning, so.
But we need DPW, which is ours, Department of Public Works. We need zoning and one for our file. So that's
No,
three.
it's too soon to ask for those yet, because
Okay.
once the amended site plan is reviewed by Greg and there's more changes that have to be made, I don't want to send it to county planning and get it booted back.
No. I'm talking Department of Public Works, our internal.
That includes Wanda.
Okay, so it'd be Wanda and then Ken, file.
Ken's already made a determination on this.
Yeah, but he has, as building and zoning, they review it also.
We only need 3 copies. We're good.
Okay.
We're good. Yeah.
For now, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
for now.
Yeah, for now.
More later.
Be prepared to bring 2 more in, I'm just telling you.
They give theirs back to me, and we're really trying to cut back on all the paper that's bogging down my files. So we're good.
Okay, I think I have my marching orders unless anyone else has any other questions.
I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you
I
very
think
much.
you have plenty of homework.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, have a good night, everyone.
You too.
Thank you. Okay, our next agenda item is project called 24 Farmview Road. It's a special use permit for a proposed ground-mounted solar project located at 24 Farmview Road containing 2.01 acres. It's in an RFD district. And the special use permit is required for a ground-mounted solar array. The applicants are Ava and Kyle Holmes, and the engineering contractor is Regina Kowalski from Plug PV. So let's see, we do have a determination from zoning, and that's why it's to us now. I just wanted to point out to the planning board that there was an extensive amount of material provided with this, and that was in our packet that was sent out as a document 048 PDF, and it's between pages 42 and 64 if you need to reference it. So is the applicant here to discuss this with us?
I'm here, but I think Steve Weigel with my contractor is going to be discussing the actual details.
Yes, good evening. Hello there, Mr. Chairman. I'm Steve Weigel with Plug PV.
Okay, how are you?
Very good. How are you?
Good. So would you take us through what you're proposing?
Absolutely. So this is a residential application, and essentially we're proposing an 11.52 kilowatt ground-mounted solar array comprised of 36 solar modules located in the backyard of the residence, roughly 275 feet from the forward property line, 145 feet from the rear property line, and centered in that backyard, 60 feet from the eastern property line and 60 feet from the western property line. The unit itself, or the array, is a single array designed to produce about 11,600 kilowatt hours for this residence specifically. There will not be any sharing or remote net metering of any of that power. That's designed to offset the consumption of this homeowner. It is a ground-mounted array engineered and designed, manufactured by Solar Foundations, headquartered here in New York, up in the Clifton Park area. And the application will go into the ground through the use of single flight helical piles, 6 of them. The overall array itself won't take up more than 650 square feet of space, which is essentially about a 33-foot 4-inch width by about a 15-foot leading edge to rear edge. The panels themselves will sit at roughly a leading edge height of 28 inches and a rear height of the array of about 141 inches. The array itself, being centered in that backyard, will be screened by existing tree foliage that is along the eastern, the western, and the northern part of the property. I believe there's another page either up from that one or in the other direction there of that plan set that shows a little more of the screening. Oh yeah, sorry, that is so blurry there. We do have a significant amount of tree coverage to the left, to the right, and to the top in the satellite imaging there. That array is going to sit basically in that open clearing in the center of that satellite imaging, if that makes sense. We will be trenching from that array to the residence, and we will be interconnecting with the customer's existing electrical utility service right there in the vicinity of their existing utility meter and main service panel. With that, I sort of, at this point, I think really we're sort of here tonight just to hear what questions the board might have and see if we can get some answers for you.
All right, well, typically in these for ground-mounted solar arrays, the planning board usually does a site visit because one of our primary concerns is the visual aspect of this and the impact to potentially any neighbors or surrounding properties. So that's something that we'll certainly want to do. We'd like to come out there, and if we do, we would like to see the area that's going to be where this will be placed. If you could at least mark or stake that, we'll try to set a date and time tonight, and then we'll try to come out there and see that together.
Okay, yeah, we're happy to do that. We typically do stake ahead of the install, so it's
actually already staked.
It is staked, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Is it also staked for the height as well at the highest point?
We can raise a flag to the highest point for you if that's something you'd like to see.
If you could, it would be appreciated.
No problem. Yep, we can put a flag out.
Thank you.
Is that your neighbor's solar panels?
Yes, my immediate neighbor has an array already.
Yeah, so that's actually a good point. That array too is a very good visual in the sense that it's identical in size, give or take an inch or two to what will be going in this backyard.
Dennis, you had a question, I think?
I was going to say, are those all deciduous trees? I'm thinking about with the shielding during leaf off season, what that might be as an impact, just throwing it out there as a thought.
So actually the trees between our house and the neighbor that doesn't have the array, that's across the street. You don't want to turn around, are evergreens. So on the left behind the shed there, you can kind of see one poking out and there's a row of them. It's going to be in our backyard, so you can't actually see where it's going to be from here. It's going to be completely behind the house.
Right. We actually we don't think that there will be a line of clear visibility from the road to the array in the rear yard.
Yeah.
Oh, we can see that on our site visit.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Just in case, Dennis, you can bring your 8-foot pole.
Okay.
I think it was a 5-foot pole, or maybe it was 8 and 5. Well, that's 12. That was but it's 14 is right. That's the highest it can be is 14.
No, it's
highest is 12.
Yeah, 12, 144 inches.
Yeah, so that's what Dennis did. He brought his and put it on his nose so that we could.
Well, if push comes to shove, I can get on Randy's shoulders and we can measure it that way too.
Okay.
The backyard's actually lower than the house, so it would be pretty hard to see.
Is your neighbor to the left named Kyle too?
He is, and he just got an array put on his roof with the same company.
Yes, I'm very familiar with this property.
Mm-hmm. Right, do we want to discuss planning board for what's a good time for and date for a planning board site visit?
Well, not Saturday night because it's only going to be 0 degrees.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
we should
yeah, I'm
discuss a
thinking-
good temperature, not a good date.
I know, I know.
It's
We
supposed to
should,
snow Monday and Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Right.
all right, what's our availability for the latter part of next week? Oh, well, we have another special meeting on the 4th.
Thursday.
Yeah.
So
On
that's
Thursday,
Thursday, yep. And I'm sure I'm going to be reading stuff as well as you guys. Any dates, say between, February 3rd and February 12th, that would be best for people to do the site visit?
I'm going to
No, I'd
defer
like-
to the homeowner on that. We can, as the contractor, we'll definitely have somebody out ahead of that with the flag, and we'll plan to have somebody at the appointment with you guys. But I do want to make sure we're just cognizant of the homeowner's availability.
I'm
Yep.
work from home these days, so I'm pretty available.
And usually we like to do it because other people, so a lot of people on the planning board do go into work. They don't work from home. So usually, I think, what does it get dark now? About 5, is it 5:30, 6 o'clock it gets dark now? Or is it later than that now?
It's a little after 5 right now.
Would everybody be amenable to Saturday, the 6th of February?
I'm available on all day Saturday.
Sure.
Yep,
I can be there.
good. I'm good with that. All right, so we have a pretty good number of folks. If each of you would send an email to me with your availability for that Saturday, say maybe something like at 10 o'clock in the morning, would be all right?
Yep, 10 sounds good to me, so.
That's
That's
fine.
fine.
All right. So I just want those folks that can or cannot just to confirm their availability, and that's what we'll shoot for. All right.
Okay.
Right. Sounds great.
All right. Sounds good. We do need to we should set a public hearing for the next meeting. What is the date on that?
2/25/21.
2/25. All right, so we'll set a public hearing on that. I'll need a motion on that to set the public hearing for February 25th.
So moved, Mark.
That's Mark.
Mary.
Mary seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approved. And then we'll also need an escrow payment on this one. And this is a relatively small one. We would need an escrow of $250. Anything that's not used as part of our review will be returning to you. Could I have a motion for a $250 escrow?
So moved.
Dennis. And second,
Stacy.
Second, Mark.
Stacy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Yes. All right, so so we will definitely see you at our next meeting, which is the 25th at 7 p.m. And we will be out there on the 6th for a site visit at 10 a.m.
Sounds good.
And contact the planning office for the packet of how to advertise for the public hearing.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take lead on that, and we'll be in contact here probably tomorrow or Monday at the latest.
All right, very good. And Eileen, should he leave a message or to get that package? And you can
Email is the best. Email me. Yeah.
Because there's limited availability right now, Steve, in the town hall because of the pandemic.
Understood. Yeah, no, we'll reach out by email tomorrow.
Yeah, I can send everything to you electronically.
Oh, great. Yeah, that would be great. I believe all our contact information's in the packet we submitted originally, but just let us know if you need anything else.
Okay.
All right, very good. All right,
All
So
right.
we'll
Well, thank
move on.
everybody for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to suggest right now we're at 9:16. I would like to take a 5-minute recess
Perfect.
for to stand up and stretch my legs.
I'll fill the wood stove.
Yeah, me
you go.
too. I'm starting to freeze.
All right. So let's try to be back here at 9:22. It's just a pause.
Agreed.
All right. Thank you.
Stacy, don't freeze while we're gone.
I'm going to go down and stand next to the wood stove for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I had to go put on a jacket. I'm down in the basement.
I
I'm
got
like,
the blanket ready.
oh. It's like, ah.
Well, if I was in the basement, I'd be okay. That's where the wood stove is.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I personally want to thank you for that break. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I feel like a new man.
There
Or
you go.
I should say like a new member of the board.
There you go. It's sometimes you have to recognize when it's necessary to do something like that. So,
No, well, very well timed, I have to tell you.
well, my glass of water because I'm getting hoarse.
Yeah, Christian, I'm with you.
There you go.
Wait till you're my age.
You're a youngster, Randy. By the way,
I blew past that a long time ago, Randy.
is Dennis on?
Has been on.
Dennis is on.
There he is.
And I'm debating on whether to weigh in on the age question here.
Dennis is going to get on my shoulders for the solar panels.
Yes,
Dennis,
That's right.
providing it's not windy.
Dennis, I wanted to allay your fears about the blasting at the church property. Being that it's a church, if they do blast, they're only going to send out good vibrations. So,
There you go.
Oh, good one.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Can I get an amen on that
Okay.
one?
Amen.
I'm going to sign off now.
All right. So we're almost ready. Is everybody back? Let's see.
Good seeing you, Dennis.
Paul there.
See my town of LaGrange seal behind me over here?
I like that.
I like it.
I came prepared.
Yeah, no, so you should have left yourself up there the whole time. It looks great.
Mark, you look like you're in outer space.
Me?
Mhm.
I feel like I'm in outer space too.
Thanks for coming in.
I'm in outer space. I've got outer space up there.
You know, if you look up and you look down, you could be like the Brady Bunch.
Sideways.
All right.
Hey, Dennis, you're down there.
I'm going to hope that everybody's here. So we're going now to Lake Ridge Estates. This is a proposed site plan located on McGee Road containing 39.7 acres in the ASCHD, which is Alternate Senior Citizen Housing District. The applicant and engineer is Larry Paggi. Thank you, Larry, for coming, and I'm sorry that I had to keep you waiting an extra 5 minutes here.
Not a problem. No problem whatsoever.
So I know we have some paperwork that came in, a letter from Wanda. She reviewed your application and she had some comments.
Yeah, she's suggesting a meeting, which I think is great.
Yep. Discussing water, sewer, stormwater infrastructure, and also private road details. So,
yes.
We also need meetings with the highway superintendent and DOT. And she had a couple of other comments about the wastewater treatment plant.
Right.
All right. So maybe if you would just, we have a number of people who are on the board now who have not heard the project. If you could give us a recap of the project and then
Sure.
get us from where we were to where we are now.
Sure. The property was formally approved as a 24-lot single-family residential subdivision with a road system. This development, it's over 10 years we've been working on this now. It was in front of the planning board previously in conjunction with a rezoning request to have it rezoned to the Alternative Senior Citizens Housing Development District. The planning board performed the environmental review and it issued a negative declaration. We were then sent to the town board and the rezone request was granted. So now we are back in front of the planning board to continue and hopefully complete our site plan review. It's proposed 120 unit senior citizen housing project. It is proposed to be privately managed and operated. All of the infrastructure, the roads, the infrastructure, the stormwater system will all be privately owned and managed. The homes will be for sale, but the property on which they are situated will be leased. It's a business plan that was developed by the owners, and it is something that the Alternative Senior Citizen Housing Development District will allow. We have, since the last time we have seen the planning board, we have undertaken some substantial technical design. Greg mentions in his letters the need for profiles, water and sewer, storm profiles. That's been a majority of the heavy lifting that we've been doing. Those profiles have been developed, and we can get them to you. As you can imagine, there's a lot going on under the ground with the water, sewer, and storm, and making sure all that works together. So I was originally thinking I would have liked to have been a lot more complete with our work before we submitted to you. But I recognized it was going to take, quite a bit of time to finish up a lot of this design. And I wanted to make sure that the planning board knew that this project, first of all, was still very active and being developed, and kind of just check in with everybody. And I think that appears to be working out. I really do appreciate the comments that I've received so far, especially Wanda suggesting the meeting. We've conducted many meetings in the past to get as far as we are now, and those meetings are always very helpful. So we will continue to move forward with that. We'll take the opportunity to go over some of Greg's comments too, I think, at those meetings. One in particular I saw Greg is talking, suggesting possibly an emergency access off of Cowdy. We do have some elevational challenges there to accomplish that. Jennifer, it's actually up back in the corner.
In the other corner, Jennifer.
Right, back upper left corner.
Keep going.
Yep.
Right there.
Yeah.
Up
and left. Yep.
Take your hand up. There, just jump again.
Right there. Yep. There are some elevational challenges, but I think even more of a concern is what we had promised the planning board as part of our environmental review was that we were going to be doing some substantial screening up in that area. I don't know that the need for an emergency access is really necessary there with the internal road system that we have. There's several different ways emergency vehicles can get to that area if they need to in the internal road system. But if that's why we're having this discussions. If that's something that the planning board feels they'd rather see emergency access there rather than the screening, we can try to make that work. But we can talk further about those things. Relative to the wastewater treatment plant, we've been in contact with the health department. The health department will do the review for it. We've been talking to Dave McDougall. But prior to us actually being able to really kind of sink our teeth into that, we need a draft speedies from the DEC to tell us what our discharge limits are going to be. We've obtained the flow confirmation, as I mentioned, from the health department. That's a requirement as part of the submission to the DEC to request that draft speedies. We've submitted that request, and it seems like since last March, things to certain agencies have been a little bit slow. So we'll continue to try to pursue that, because I really see that probably as our critical path. As far as lead times, I think everything else is kind of within our control to work with the planning board and make things happen that they want to see. We need to get that moving so we can get the design and get going with that. So other than that, I think that unless you have questions or you want me to expand a little bit on anything, my thought is that you know, after this evening, we'll set up a meeting with Wanda. We'll talk to Greg. We'll try to get those comments fully addressed. We'll try to get a little bit further. We owe you, like I mentioned, from the seeker determination, we owe you some additional items. We'll try to get them in place for you. But again, if it looks like it's a, you know, if a couple of months are going by, we may just pop back in to give you an update. So
Larry, I have some suggestions that you can talk about. Since
ahead.
this is a brand new board, basically.
Okay.
So do you want to explain, because I know some of them don't understand why there's so much parking right there at the entrance before your gate.
Okay.
So if you want to tell us what that agreement is with the town board and why it's there like that. And the other thing was, you had mentioned your stormwater is going to be privately owned, but I don't know, did you mention that the town's going to own the wastewater treatment plant? And what about the water distribution?
Okay, so good points. I don't think I did mention them, Stacy. Okay, so let's start with the parking area up front. One of the issues that's been a bit of a concern on McGee well before this project was the use of the athletic field across the street when it gets busy there. Folks really don't have a place to park, and they park along the road, both sides, and it can get a little bit yeah, exactly. So the applicants agreed to provide parking by easement to the town for the fields. So that's the purpose of that parking area up there. You know, we suppose that it may also serve as overflow for the homes on site. I don't know that will really see much utilization, but it's there if needed. There's also been discussions about the clubhouse being used for, you know, community functions, Lagrange functions, and if there is anything where there is a function that might have some parking demands, so there's going to be parking available if needed. So that's kind of the parking story. Relative to the a little bit of history on the wastewater plant, we were originally contemplating pumping all of our sewage from here to the Titusville plant, which was going to be like a 2-mile long force main and a pump station, actually a couple pump stations, I think. And it just seemed to make much more sense as we got to the end of our environmental review and our dealings with the town. We went back to the original concept of locating a wastewater treatment plant on site. It'll be located within a building. It will service this facility. It'll service the 120 homes here, but it will be designed with a capacity to be expanded if at such point in the future the surrounding areas may want to develop a district. The town may want to pursue a district and provide some connection capacity there. Once the wastewater treatment plant is constructed by the developer and it is functional and accepted by the town, it will be dedicated to the town. The water distribution system within the facility will be privately owned. The roads within the facility will be privately owned. Greg, I thought that the sewer collection system was going to be privately owned too, but I could be forgetting something there. And the concept of owning all the roads and infrastructure was really twofold. I mean, it's a benefit to the owner in that we're trying to keep the development as village-like and rural as possible, and keeping things small and slow. But the great benefit to the town is that there's no cost for maintenance. There's no responsibility for the town to plow the roads. There's no responsibility of the town to pave the roads, repair the roads. to service the hydrants, to repair leaks on site. If there's again, I was thinking sewer is going to be privately owned. If there's sewer backups, they're the owner's issues. So I think it's a great tax benefit to the municipality, in that all the residents will be paying taxes, but they won't be demanding those services. So
and I think that's something that is something we can talk about in the meeting, because one of the things that we were thinking is, I agree with your statements, and maybe it's one of those things, because we did talk about the plant would be potentially expandable at the town's expense if they decided to expand it. And maybe what could be discussed as being out there is, at that point, if there was a potential to connect through for gravity to that sewer, that would be where the town could then seek dedication.
right, and it may be certain limited lengths of pipes too.
Correct.
So we could try to limit the town's exposure there. Again, it may be something up by Cowdy, somewhere in that area. Okay. Yeah.
And because it's at this point, whether something's going to happen in the future or not, nobody knows. But it may just be a matter of having a clause and it says that it would be considered for dedication or something along those lines.
That makes sense. And anything else, Stacy?
You might want to just talk about some of the what you're going to be doing to East Bend Lake.
Okay, so
that it gets the passive recreation, but you're going to be cleaning it up and changing some
yeah,
stuff.
yep. Well, one of the things that we actually found out as we got involved with this project was that East Bend Lake was considered to be a dam, and basically in the area where you see the little inscription, actually the other way, Jennifer, where you see ruins there, that area was, I guess, a fill section back when the lake was constructed, I think back in the 50s. And the depth of fill behind the depth of the water behind that fill, I think, was around 10 feet, which I think is right about at the threshold that would classify it as a dam. I don't know whether it's still that deep. It doesn't really look like a dam because the slope from the top of that, from the water's edge is relatively gradual out towards McGee. So it's very gradual. We've been in contact with the DEC. One of the first things they asked us to do was to get up there and clear any large trees off of that area, just to provide some protection if there was going to be a storm. And God knows we've had some of those windstorms lately that would take down a big tree and uproot it and possibly compromise the bank. We went through the Public Works Department, and actually I think it was through Public Works, it might have been the Planning Board, and prepared a clearing plan, which was approved and actually accomplished. So and we did that before we made one of our final site visits up there, and it was kind of a nice way to end our initial process, because it opened up the lake and we really saw how pretty that lake was going to be. So it kind of started to raise the excitement about that passive area and really what it's going to come to look like. So we will be back in touch with the DEC. That's another checklist item that we've got to take care of. We've got to do an evaluation. There's an old spillway. You can actually see up from the ruins. There's a line that looks like it goes from the water through the bank. That's actually a pipe. It's relatively degraded. We're going to abandon that and create a new spillway, probably a little bit further down the page a little bit. and
The other way.
yeah.
Other way.
Oh, yep. The other way.
That way.
Right,
There
right
you go.
down by roughly right down by where that square is. That square, believe it or not, is actually an old diving platform.
Yeah.
I think there's still a ladder on it.
Mhm.
You can actually, if you're brave, still walk out on it. I took the occasion when they were doing the clearing to go out and take a look, and just to take advantage to see that there are still fish in the lake there, which is a good evidence of a good healthy lake. So the new outlet structure will be roughly in that area, and it'll be tied into the new stormwater collection system that is being developed for the project. So, anything else, Stacy?
I think that's pretty much the bulk of the big stuff. Everything else was, throughout. We looked at all kind of things during our seeker neg deck. It took over almost a year and a half to 2 years to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
basically
did
that's it. It's all the homes are on slabs. That's the other key. That yes, they're not owning the land. That the management company owns the land, but the houses are actual stick-built houses on slabs. And then Mark went through and made sure it had all this fire protection stuff. So
that was a big part of it. The houses are all going to be sprinklered. I mean, we had several meetings with the fire department, all of them very positive. And we started talking about dry sprinkler systems, and I think it turned out very well. They're going to be wet sprinkler systems. Everything's coming together. So.
Oh, did you want to mention too, at the clubhouse, you're having the different, I can't think of what it is, like an emergency thing at the, for the residents?
Well, that's an important thing, Stacy. I'm glad you brought that up. The genesis of this project was for the concept of aging in place. Several of the people involved with this project actually had personal experiences with aging parents, and there gets to be the point where, in order for people to stay at home, they need some assistance. Sometimes family can provide that. Sometimes it's with hired aides. Sometimes it's with both. And there's certainly a variety. Sometimes it's an hour a day. Sometimes it's 12 hours a day. Sometimes it's 24 hours a day. And as you can imagine, the more those needs increase for a person, the more expensive it gets. So the concept was trying to develop a situation where perhaps we could use the economy of scale of having folks with those needs in one central area, and for the folks that might need, maybe a visiting nurse once or twice a day, if there's several of those in the area, they can make the trip and go from house to house to house, rather than having to come and hire somebody for 8 hours or hire somebody to be there 24 hours a day. They can be people that come in and check in. There's going to be a full-time manager on site. There will be emergency call buttons in all of the houses, and the on-site manager will be the first respondent to that, and will be able to kind of screen those calls before they go to emergency services. The hope is that it becomes a real community, people sit on their porches and walk the roads, and everybody gets to know each other. And you've all heard me say this before, and I'm going to keep on saying it. It was something that was mentioned to me very early in the morning very early in the project when one of the people that initiated this project came together with the idea. It's, when John wakes up in the morning and looks out his window to his buddy Fred's house and doesn't see the blinds open at 7 o'clock when normally they're open, he can walk over there and knock on the door and see what's going on with Fred. That's the kind of community that we're hoping that this will be. And we just, I guess the only regrets we have is that we didn't get it done soon enough for the benefit of some of our families. So, but I think there'll be plenty of opportunity for many more families to take advantage. So we're hoping we're getting close.
Okay.
Larry?
I did want to ask Greg if I could call on you. Is there anything that the planning board needs to be aware of or that we should discuss tonight on this before we move on?
I think as Larry had mentioned, a lot of this stuff is just process. I mean, those things will need to be obtained. The one concern I had was the one-on-one slopes between some of the houses. There were some very steep slopes, and whether or not that could be accomplished, with the retaining wall combination, and was kind of also thought that might be something that the planning board may want to weigh in on. And then the other thing was I know that there was the 40% open space requirement, and it's just a matter of it being delineated so that it's clear where that open space is located.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with the 40% open space because we beat that to death with the town board before we even came to the planning board with the environmental review. So we'll get that delineated. I think I actually have a plan that is an open space plan to
Okay.
that will include that. And
I couldn't imagine that hadn't been discussed at one point.
Yeah, that was actually one of the requirements of the rezone too. So
right.
We'll make sure that gets demonstrated. The one-on-one slope, Greg, I mean, we can certainly look at retaining walls. I've always been one who would much rather do a reinforced slope rather than a retaining wall, just because they just seem safer to me. But we can
falling over the wall.
Yeah, we can always look at those. I mean, there's so many opportunities with a lot of the new technology out there for the steepened slopes to really be nice and to vegetate them nicely. So
That's why I think it'd be good to have that discussion with the planning board, because it would, and being that it's which again may be a matter of just having some discussion, being that the land is leased, whether or not that means is the lessee responsible for maintenance of those grounds, or is that intended to be part of the management system is going to manage, and which then brings in, because obviously you wouldn't want to have a one-on-one slope and some 80-year-old man out there trying to mow with his mower.
Oh, I think all of the lawn maintenance is part of the management company taking care of that. There's no again, thinking of the, I mean, we may have to fight some of the people that want to mow their own lawn, but I think for the clientele that we're hoping will take advantage of this, we don't want them worrying about that. So,
Larry, I'm curious, is the old car still out there that Mark was interested in?
I don't know, Mark, is it still there?
It is still there. I have a question for you, Larry. I don't know.
Oh, wait, Mark, wait. Didn't you want to buy that car?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I have a, I don't know if you want to discuss it tonight, Mr. Chairman, but I do have a concern, Larry, about the secondary entrance, as well as a couple of other concerns. Should we discuss that tonight or not?
Sure.
Okay,
Go right ahead.
due to the density of the project, with those, it's tight in there. I think there should be a secondary entrance available to the various agencies.
Okay, so we did provide, I don't know if you remember, we did provide a secondary entrance to the parking area down in front by McGee.
Correct. Is that still there?
That's definitely still there. Yep, right at the end of that cul-de-sac. There you go.
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure that you weren't talking about replacing that one with the other one in the back.
No. Nope. That's it right there.
Okay, as long as that's there, as long as there's two, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
My other question is, will the management company be responsible for posting, oxygen located in the development or in each specific home, or will the homeowner be responsible for posting if they're on oxygen and have oxygen tanks? How are you going to manage that?
You know what? I'm not. I'll have to ask that question, Mark. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure. I mean, I would think the management company would certainly be willing to do that if they have the legal right to do it.
Well, it has to be. It really, by law, should be posted if and when there's a resident on oxygen. In a front window or by a front door. And but we won't know if an emergency happens going in. So I want to know if that's a rule you'll set up for your homeowners, or if that's the management company that's going to do it, because it has to be identified.
I'll get that answer.
That it's a community that's aging. I think that's an important factor.
I'll get that answer for you, Mark.
Greg, do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. And my other question is, did we decide if you're doing the curbing, they are mountable curbs all throughout, correct?
Absolutely. And you know what? It's been such a long time that I've looked at it in that detail. But I'm pretty sure it is all curb. So
okay,
I remember having that conversation that we could do it all mountable.
Do it all mountable, because again, there are some sharp turns in there, Larry. It looks like almost some 90-degree angles.
Okay.
If we could. And my last question, sorry to inundate you with this.
No.
Is you have a walking path around the lake.
Yes.
How do we get access if there's an emergency on the other side of the lake to get to somebody? What can we take back there, and how wide is it, and what's the surface to get to the person in need?
Well, I think we're thinking that we would like it to be, we've always contemplated that it would be something that would be sufficient even for like a golf cart. So, it's going to be, I mean, what would you like to see it? Well, I mean, we can work.
I just, some type of hard pack of some sort.
Okay.
That a side-by-side can go on, a golf cart, something to that effect.
Okay.
And the managing company would have a golf cart or something, right, during an emergency, that if it need be, the emergency people could jump on that cart and you take them out there?
I would imagine they'll have more than a golf cart. They'll probably have, a utility vehicle like a gator or something,
Yeah, so that's what I meant by a side-by-side, something like that.
Because our fire district does not have such a vehicle at this time, so it would, so they'd have to rely that you have one on site that they could use.
Okay.
Yeah, basically the smallest vehicle we have to get in there would be a brush truck. And,
okay.
So, then you have to factor in the weight of that and whatever the surface is that you're putting down. Could it handle that?
Okay.
In case of an emergency back there. So those are just some of my comments and questions.
Sounds good.
Mark, you guys do have a boat though, right?
We do have a boat. We have a Zodiac, yes.
Okay.
But
if you need it on the lake here.
Yeah, I don't want to tear the bottom up of the boat on that car that I didn't take out yet.
There you go.
You have fishing poles for the boat?
Not yet. Your management company could provide that for us. Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Those are all good thoughts. Thank you.
So Greg, you had mentioned that the board has to also talk about parking lot slope, 3% as opposed to 5%.
Yeah, I mean, we can, Greg, let Greg and I talk about that a little bit before.
We discuss, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not sure.
You might work that out.
We're making it 3. I just want to look at it a little bit closer.
Yep.
It makes more sense to keep it 5. If Greg and I agree that it makes more sense to keep it 5, then we'll come back.
Yeah.
And the code allows up to 5 with, I can't remember exactly the way it's read, but with acknowledgement approval of the planning board.
Okay.
Greater than 5.
Whatever you guys decide, just let us know what we have to do.
Right, so that would have to be yeah.
Okay. No, that sounds good.
Larry, one other question I have for you. The gate going inside, you're definitely going to make it a siren gate for us, correct?
Yes. We had, yeah. You'll have to give me the particulars for that when we get that far.
Okay,
Mark.
either I'll give it to you or the chief can give it to you anytime you want.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Larry, the lake, was that going to be fenced in? So there's no ice skating, no ice hockey, no swimming?
There's I don't think the idea was to actually put like a chain link around anywhere. I mean, I think there was post and rail that was going to be put up and around.
Right.
I mean, it'll be posted.
Right.
I'm sure it'll be posted, but I hope that doesn't become an issue.
Yeah, the only thing I'm thinking about is right now, pretty much only us know it's up in there.
Yeah.
But once you develop it,
yeah,
a lot of people are going to know it's up in there.
And the management company will have liability for it, so they're going to be the ones that have to enforce that.
Yeah.
Well, and you put 120 families in there, and the Revlon effect's going to kick in, and they're going to tell 2 people, and they're going to tell 2 people. And
I can picture it already.
I would be one of the ones trying to sneak in there and go ice skating.
Yeah, then Mark will have to come rescue with his boat.
So, Dennis, Mary, Paul, Al, any other questions or comments that you want to bring up now?
No, I think I'm good.
I'm good, guys.
Okay, super.
I'm good for now.
All right, so
Had a
we'll
long
see you in a
night.
couple of months, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, did you want to discuss the escrow?
I
think we have escrow, don't we?
Yeah.
I thought we do.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do, but we just want to make sure that you know that by the rest that it needs to be
replenished. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let it get
right.
I'll send you an email.
Yeah, make sure that all comes through us, and we'll keep pushing for that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And contact Wanda at Public Works, and then she'll arrange everything that has to be done with between you and Greg and whatever.
We'll do.
Yep.
We'll do.
So just contact her office.
That sounds good. All right. If there's nothing else, I'll say good night. It's good to see all you guys again, and hopefully we have a great year together. Thank you.
Stay safe, Larry. Stay safe.
Yeah, you do the same.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, so next up is Daily Farms. And this is a subdivision and site plan. Proposed subdivision and site plan located at Knoxon Road, Titusville Road, containing 233.36 acres in the Daily Farm Planned Development District, PDD. Excuse me. The applicant seeking final approval for subdivision containing 51 single-family lots, 76 townhouse lots, 9 estate lots, and a farm site. It will also include a connection to the William R. Steinhaus Duchess Rail Trail. By the way, it was listed on your paperwork as the Hudson Valley Rail Trail. So it is the Duchess Rail Trail. And I believe the engineer representing this application is Peter Sotaro.
Yes, sir.
CPL.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, very good.
I do, before you get started, Peter, I just wanted to also check. Our conflict engineer is the Renia Engineering representing the town, and I wondered if they have a representative on the call tonight.
Hi guys, Peter Sander again from Running Engineering.
Okay, Peter.
Just here in case you guys have any questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, Peter, if you could just give us again, this is another one of those ones that predates the majority of the people, almost everybody on the current planning board. And so we really need to get a recap and update, get us up to speed.
Sure. Thank you. Also with me tonight is Steve Rieger, one of the partners in the project. And so Steve, I don't know if you want to say anything before I, start off or up to you.
Sure. Thank you, Pete. So we've been working on this daily project for a long time now, more than 10 years. We started with the planning board and the town board. We needed to get a PDD designation, Plan Development District designation, which we received a number of years ago. And we did an environmental impact statement and received a negative declaration, or actually, that's not correct. Our DEIS was accepted, and we proceeded to do an FEIS, and that's been completed as well. And so we've been working with the various agencies. We needed to get approval from the county DPW, from the DEC, and from the town and the county health department. And Pete and his firm have been working hard on that. And we're bringing it down through the home stretch now. And so, Pete, please take it away.
Okay, thank you. I think the last time that we appeared before the board was before we filed for final approval, which was probably a few years ago. And I don't remember how many of the current board members were there at that time. So, I guess what I'll do, given the hour, I'll give a brief overview. I'll basically orient you to the project based on the map that's here. I'll give a brief history of the project, and which Steve has basically done, and then where we are as far as the approvals. And I like to use the analogy of a baseball field. I think for this project, we're on third base heading, for home. And, we're hoping that we would look to ask the planning board for conditional final approval sometime in late spring or early, summer. So I think it's good just to give an update similar to the last, project for those who may have not have seen the project, and, for those who need a refresher, I guess. So as far as, orienting the project, up at the top of the page where, the cursor is now is Titusville Road. Over to the left, as the chairman said, is the Dutchess Rail Trail, which will make that name change on the plan. I apologize for that. Where you see phase one in that large area, yep, right there, that is the large lake that's off of Davis Road, which is, yep, right there, that comes off of Titusville Road. And as we go down more towards the the bottom of the page, where we're tying in the road network on the other end. So right there. So the other end of the project, we're tying into Colleen Court, which is part of the Bray Farms subdivision. And then off to the left of that is the farm lot, which is approximately 50 acres. That's the former Petrovitz farm. that farm will be, retained, and they'll be part of our conservation area. So as the chairman said, if we could go back to, like zoom out to maybe see the overall plan a little bit. Thank you for that. As the chairman said, the project consists of 51 single-family lots, 76 townhome lots, which you can see the townhome lots as you start to come in from Titusville Road, right in that area. Then there's also some townhouse lots, right there off of the cul-de-sac road. And then smaller lots up as you come up on the top of the hill, smaller single family lots all up around the loop there. And then we have a bunch of larger lots. Some are off of the small cul-de-sac road across from the townhomes. And then what we did going towards the Bray Farm subdivision was to, we actually made a change to our original plan after working with many of the Bray Farm property owners, is we wanted to make a transition from, the smaller lots. As you can see, the smaller lots are like 5, 6, 7, 8, 37, and 38. But as you get towards, if we could
Scroll
just
down.
go down a little bit,
you
great, thank you. So as you can see, lots 1, 2, 3, 39, and 40. Those are larger lots. They're 1.5 to maybe 3.5 acres to provide more of a transition into the Bray Farms development, which are larger lots of similar size. So so that is generally the layout. We do have a large lot that's off the pond area that has a direct access. Currently has a driveway. It's labeled there as lot 137. It's a 30-something acre lot that includes the pond. And as I said, that has a separate access point right off of Knoxon Road. As part of the project, we're working with the County Public Works Department. There's some improvements that are going to take place on Titusville Road. There'll be some widening there to create a left-hand turn lane heading into the project. I'm getting my north and south confused. I think it's heading westbound right before Gold's Gym to make a left into the site. Those aren't completely shown on here. We have a separate set of plans that are at a much larger scale that we've been working with the county on. The project, as far as water and sewer, we're going to be tying into the town water and sewer facilities. There's no issues as far as capacity in the sewer plant. There are some improvements that the town is undertaking to one of their water facilities, basically to provide more storage capacity for the project. So the town is working on that separately with the health department and the Department of Environmental Conservation. Glancing down here at my notes. As part of, I guess I'll get into where we are as far as like approvals. So for about the past year and a half, we've been working with both the county health department and Rennie Engineering's office on many of the technical, details of the project. The layout has not, changed in, many like years. So we're down to working out, the technical like details of the water and the sewer and the drainage. So we've been working through with, like I said, with health department and with Rennie's office. We've got a recent round of comments. We're anticipating that we hope to just make one final like submission and then really, whittle down to a limited amount of comments with both the health department and, with Renia's office, to the point where perhaps the town would feel comfortable with granting, conditional final approval. As part of some of the other agency approvals, the county public works department, they've informally approved the widening plans. There's one small change that I need to make on the lane widths, and then we will resubmit back to them. We're also refining our design of the entry road coming off of Titusville as you get to the bridge that is crossing, the stream. Some of that redesign work, it's very flat from for about the first 1,500 feet from Titusville Road back into the site. So we've had to play around with the profile a little bit and some of the grading to make the drainage work in that area. That also has a little bit of an impact on the slope adjacent to the emergency access road to the rail trail. So we're going to be working with the county on that, to finalize that. So I would anticipate that we should have the county approval, shortly. We did get a nice Christmas gift. We got an email from the DEC that said that they are approving our plans. We had to obtain a wetlands disturbance permit from them and a stream disturbance permit for our bridge. So we received an email from them right before Christmas saying that they had no further comments on our plans for the project. However, they can't issue a formal letter of approval until the town completes the work as far as the expansion of the water facility, because the two are tied, together. They won't issue a separate permit for the project unless all other DEC permits are in hand. So as far as our work with the DEC, we're good. Again, we're just waiting on the water supply approval. As I said before, we've been working with Renia's office, and we'll continue, to do that. And the same thing with the health department. Again, we're down to the last little technical details. And I don't want to minimize it because it's a large, project. So there's, a lot of things, to hammer out. So like I said, we're hoping to make a resubmission that should be close to a final, probably within the next month. And then, we'll continue to work with both of their offices to, to finalize approvals. I'm trying to see if I missed anything. I know it's getting, late. I think that's about it. Steve, I don't know if you want to add anything, more that I may have missed. I hope I covered it all.
No, we've preserved, a substantial amount of open space.
Oh yeah, good. Thank you. Yes, that's right.
Well more than is required by the zoning. And, the lots are clustered. The single family lots are decent size. They're not going to be, serviced by, most of them are serviced by water and sewer.
Yeah.
So they're not 1 acre lots, but they're probably,
they're close to it. I mean, I would think all of what I called, the smaller, single family lots around, the loop, I think they're generally in about, the 1 acre range. And again, as Steve said, they're served by central water and sewer.
right. And then the townhomes, they're mostly in, they're all in buildings of 4 units. And they're clustered as well. And then, we have that substantial you know, a lovely pond up, which most of the townhomes are going to be looking, or a lot of the townhomes are going to be looking down at. And then we're preserving the farm, which is going to be a, you know, a separate parcel. And we're hoping to sell it to somebody who's going to continue to farm it.
I just have a question. We had discussed the light at the entrance, and that you were going to have a light there that was timed with that Gold's Gym light. That's correct, right? That's still
No.
in play?
No, you know, the county, the county has, you know, indicated, and I think there's a letter, Stacy, floating around somewhere, which I can find, but, you know, the county had basically said, and when we came back, I want to say about 2 years ago, before we started final approval process, the traffic engineer had updated the original traffic report, because it was, you know, many years old, and with some updated traffic counts and numbers and, you know, and all that. So as part of that, when the county reviewed it, they said that they will, at this point, that they would, that it didn't appear to meet a warrant for a traffic light, but that they would monitor, you know, the situation, and then if a light was like warranted, then they would require the developer to like install it and have it, you know, coordinated with the Gold's light.
So at this point, with the you know, the length of the turn lanes and things like that, they believe that the county believes that the light, that this intersection will work well without the light, that there'll be spacing created by the light at Gold's and the light at the Knox on Titus.
That's right. Yep. You know, the
And
gaps.
and if they need to, they can lengthen their gaps too in between red lights and
That's
green
what they
lights,
talked
you know.
about. Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct, Stacy. That's what they talked about, that they could like adjust that. And you know, you know, once we get to final approval, you know, with the county, I don't know if they would require like a bond for a certain number, you know, of years, in case, you know, like a light needs to be, you know, like installed.
Yeah.
We you know, we'll cross that like bridge
Yep.
when we get there.
And my next question is, the lot that is I think it's commercial lot that's
Right.
down there by the plaza.
Yeah.
Is that going to be a subdivided out lot?
You know, Stacy, that's a really, you know, I was looking, you know, and you would think after all these years, I would have, you know, like known this already, but I was looking at this plan on my desk, and I'm like, I kind of think that does have to be a separate,
well,
lot. It's going to have to have.
Pete, I was under the impression, and this is what our plan was, that we're creating a separate lot, but the lot is not part of this application.
That's correct.
Right.
That's right.
That
But it would
parcel.
have to be, yeah, but it would have to be sort of part of this application, because you got to get it out of there.
Well,
right now it's in your land.
Right.
So
We have to, yeah, right. We have to assign it a number. So
parcel number. Yeah.
Right.
And so at one time, Pete had done a little feasibility to show what could be done. And we're talking about you know, I mean, we have no user for it. We haven't designed anything for it. But in my mind's eye, it would be maybe a small professional building, something like that, for a vet or a dentist or somebody like that.
And that was part of our PDD approval, I believe, too, Steve, right? That we had to create a small commercial component.
Right. We would come in, and we'll come in for site plan when we have a use for that.
Right. And we would discuss, because there were things that we wanted, like possibly a cut through to the plaza and all that kind of stuff. But that would all be discussed when you came in for that particular parcel. But I think you need to, instead of just writing on there that it is a commercial parcel, I think it needs to be.
No, you're 100% right.
It needs to be cut out, so as a lot to be cut out for future use or for future whatever it is.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Pete, I'm curious, the lane widening, how far would it go towards Knox and Titusville intersection? I was the foreman who installed the light for Gold's Gym and widened Titusville Road. I was just curious how far you'd go towards the intersection.
Yeah, we're gonna go, it's gonna end, Randy, approximately at the furthest entrance, what entrance or exit, the furthest access point to the commercial plaza.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not gonna go all
Right.
that far. And it's actually gonna take out, the kink that's there like now, if you drive the road, it's not a smooth curve, so.
Yeah, there is a lot of extra room there because at one time years ago, they had widened that when that plaza was put in.
That's right. Yeah.
So it is wide enough.
But they also knew that this was going in because we've been trying to develop this site for the last 30 years, so.
Yeah, I mean, they do have enough room to reconfigure the road.
Yeah, we sneaked in just, that was actually one of the county's comments. I think they wanted to change the lane width from 12 feet to 11 feet, just to give us a little bit more room there. So
Well, when they put the rail trail bridge in, you had already given all your numbers, and that's when they were originally thinking about the light and all that kind of stuff when the rail trail bridge went in, and so they widened it knowing that you were coming.
Yeah, in fact, they needed more room for the rail trail and the emergency access ramp. And so we gave them an easement across our property for that. And now for Pete to make the entrance road work, we're going to have to work with them on the property that we gave them an easement on. So, but fortunately, we worked with them and they're working with us. It's not gonna be a problem.
yeah, and the easement, contains like language in regards to our like ability, to modify like some of that area subject to their approval. So.
And just to let the board know, the parking that there's parking there now is not really rail trail parking. They're just letting those people park there.
Well,
that's really not rail trail parking. The rail trail parking is at Gold's Gym and down the road when they put it in.
Right.
Well, that's something, again, I think that was part of one of the requirements of the PDD, and I still have to work with the county because I think we're supposed to try to get a direct link from our small parking area to the rail trail. And so that's one thing I'm discussing with the county now.
Pete, getting back to that topic that Stacy brought up with the commercial piece, does that happen simultaneously in concert with the final approval, or do you have to take that out and of the project before final approval?
No, I think it's going to be part of it. I think they're going to assign it a lot, right? And
for the
we'll
subdivision,
that way.
Right. We're going to create a subdivided lot, but there's not going to be any approval for development of that lot until we come back in with a site plan application for it.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation. I appreciate it.
So what's that going to be? 141 or something?
I don't know. We don't want to get too much higher. I think it may be 138.
So the only question I have, I'm going to have to look at this. This will be an internal question more. Is there some things to do with the procedure for PDDs? I know when we had the LaGrange Farms at Overlook PDD, they had an amended site plan, and we needed, after we had done our due diligence and essentially we had to refer it back to the town board recommending that they accepted the amended site plan. So I'm uncertain about whether that's the same thing to this or whatever. We'll have to work through that internally over the next month or so.
So just to give you a little background, Chris, they had done this. We went through seeker. They went to the town board. They got the approval from the town board. They came back to us. They started all their infrastructure, their roads, their water, their sewer, their stormwater. And then that's when they decided to change those lots at the end and take some of them out and put townhouses down on that other side, down on the west side, and change some of that lot size, and then also the lot sizes at the top. Then they had to go back to the town board at that point, and they did go back to the town board, and then the town board sent it back to us. So
okay,
that's where we are now, as far as I remember.
That's very good memory. Very good memory.
And so then they went away and started to do all the infrastructure now with all this new stuff, what the town board approved. So nothing that the town, so I don't know, Pete, you can answer the question. Everything that you're working on now is the last thing the town board saw.
Yes.
Okay, so no more ping pong.
Not unless they decide to change something again.
All right.
Stacy, do I remember walking this with you?
Yes, you do.
Up and through the woods, when Jack Brewster was the
Oh
chairman.
my God,
and he was walking with a cane at that time through the woods, right?
It was.
We went to see the townhouses.
Yeah, and we walked down the hill, down through Petrovich's property, past that lake, out to by Gold's Gym, right?
Yeah, we went. Well, we started down at Gold's Gym basically, and then we came up to the townhouses, and then we went up to the houses, and we went to what's the starts with a C, right? No.
Colleen Court.
Colleen Court, and then we went. And then we walked down into Petrovich's, and we walked out his driveway to the rail trail area, past we walked everywhere.
That was lifetimes ago. Wow.
Lifetimes ago, yeah.
Ed Jessup was there too. That was back when Ed was on the
board. Yeah.
Whoa.
And if you recall, Dennis, that lot number 137 originally tried to have a couple lots down there. And it was determined that they should only do the one because of how steep the Knoxon Road entrance is to it. Remember, we had an issue with the county wanting only the one off of there instead of the shared driveway off of there.
Yes, I do.
And then we also discussed roads off of Davis Road, and we decided not to do that. We decided to leave that open so those Davis people could still have their nice lake and everything like that. So, yeah. A lot of work on this. This was what, the fourth or fifth thing that was tried to put on this site. So
we've been working on it a long time, and I still feel bad.
I was on the board in 89, and they were still working on this.
I don't go back on this property quite that far, but I do still feel bad for Jack Brewster having to traipse through up and down hill and dale through the woods with that knee.
Yeah, that was horrible for him.
And rain.
And rain and wet.
I started working on this property when Mrs. Daly sold it to Dave Petrovitz.
Oh my! But you're probably older than me.
I picked up hay 20 years on that farm.
All right, so let me just ask one of the things that we had, Stacy and I had talked about a little bit in preparation for this meeting, was whether we thought that it might be of value for the current planning board to make a site visit out there, just to kind of size up the area. Is there any value in that, folks?
Yes.
I know.
So Chris is asking, does any of the planning board members want to go do a site visit on this site? It will take longer than an hour to walk it. I'll let you know that right now.
And
I know the site well. I farm it.
Yeah, so Al has his equipment there, and he knows it better than anybody right now, I think.
Did we do it in the spring?
I mean, honestly, I mean, we could probably, I mean, there's, you know, we certainly can wait till late, like February, early, like March. I don't think that's going to hurt anything.
That would be great.
Yeah.
All right.
So why
Well,
don't we,
yeah,
why don't we plan that then, Chris?
yeah, there's no necessity to do it with snow on the ground at the moment. So,
Nah, no fun. No fun at
all right.
all.
All right. Why don't we
Snowshoes,
plan
though.
on
That
doing
might
that?
be fun to go use our snowshoes.
No, it won't.
All right. Well, we'll keep that on the list. Jennifer, will you take a to-do here that towards the end of February, we'll discuss setting up the site visit. Maybe at that February meeting, that might be a time to discuss it. The late February.
Okay.
Any other questions from the planning board you want to bring up at this time? Anything to ask them to bring back for us?
I just have one quick question. How deep, Pete, is that lake in phase one?
Very.
I don't
Very
know.
deep?
Yes, so that was a
mined that, right?
they mined it. That's a gravel. They mined all the gravel out of that. And I remember at the public hearings, people were telling us that it was 20 feet or more in some places.
Wow.
Yeah, Stacy, I remember somebody saying that too, but in my lifetime with this property, nobody's ever checked that out.
No,
So,
no.
but I was told it was deep also.
Yeah. I don't know if did Red Wing, were they the ones that mined that, or was it somebody
No,
else?
it was somebody else.
So yeah, we never really checked that out, but almost all the people on Davis Road, I'll give you an example, Mark, all the people on Davis Road have built little docks, floating docks, and they have little boats and they have little,
Really?
they put out benches to sit on and it's a beautiful lake. It's very, very pretty.
Well, when we do our site walk, I'll bring a picture of one of like the residents over there has a very interesting homemade boat that I'll show you. It's interesting. So
I look forward to that. Thank you.
Very, very nice. Creative, very creative.
Okay. All right. All right. Any other questions? All right. I think we're done with this for tonight.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much. And, we'll wait to hear from you about the site walk.
Yep.
Right. And hopefully we'll get our application, our plans back to Rich Renia pretty soon, and we'll get this thing moving along by the spring. Thank you all.
That sounds great.
Thanks.
So our February meeting is the 25th of February, and that's when we'll discuss the site visit.
Okay, very good.
Right,
Good evening.
Thank you very much.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello, good evening.
You're not allowed to talk. Sorry. So
I'd
we're
like to make, yep.
Are you not allowed to ask questions?
No. This is not a public hearing. I announced that at the beginning. There are no public comment. So
Where?
That's the end of our regular scheduled items. Is there anybody on the planning board that wants to bring up anything else before we adjourn?
I'll bring up the motion to adjourn.
Oh, this was a waste of time.
Okay, that's at 10:36.
All right, did I get a second on that?
Second.
Chris, I just wanted to mention one thing to the board. Just a reminder that we're going to be sending along some materials related to next week's special meeting.
Yeah, I was going to mention that after the adjourn.
Okay.
All right, all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Okay, the meeting is adjourned. As Jennifer was mentioning, we do have another special planning board meeting next Thursday, same time, same place. We'll be going through the Town Center project and